Let's go. Welcome to J Brothers Sports Review Podcast. This week, we're going to be going to look at what happened into week 3 of the NFL. We're going to give our thoughts on what we saw in each game, how they affect our teams in fantasy, and just give our thoughts on in general on the NFL overall. Again, we had a bunch of great games this week, and we had a few blowouts, but we're going to go ahead and take a look at them. You have anything to add?
How about them Cowboys?
Cowboys. All right.
Yep.
Well, let's get right into it. So we're going to start off right here with the Thursday night game. This is Carolina Panthers, who defeated the Houston Texans 24-9. And so what we saw here is, Carolina Panthers are 3-0. Davis Mills got the start in place of injured Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor, the coach said we still don't know how long he's going to be out. But how about Davis Mills? Did you see anything in this game?
I know we talked about him last week, but I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything encouraging. But Panthers defense.
Yeah.
It could just be them, more so them than anything else.
Yeah. So again, they're 3-0. But we look at the past 3 teams they played. They haven't been, really great teams. So I think this upcoming week we may get to see more. So
yeah, Panthers played Cowboys. So
yeah, so we're gonna see more so of what they are and how they look against better teams. But so we'll get into so Davis Mills, he went 19 for 28, threw for 168 and a touchdown, and he also rushed once, but got no yards there. So we didn't see as good as what Tyrod was doing in that offense. Mm-hmm. And again, Davis Mills is a rookie, the 8th quarterback taken in this draft. Mm-hmm. Again, with rookies, we're seeing it this week, especially a lot of rookies struggling. Now, Mark Ingram ran the ball for 6 times for 21 yards. David Johnson only got 2 carries for 11 yards. And Philip Lindsay ran 7 times for 5 yards. So Carolina definitely did a pretty good job stopping the run and slowing down that run there. Now, as far as fantasy-wise, we can definitely take a look at Brandon Cooks. This is 3 weeks in a row now. He's been putting up pretty good numbers. This week he had 11 targets. He caught 9 of them and went for 112. What's your thoughts on Brandon Cooks?
Yeah, no, last week I said I'm staying away from all Texans, mm-hmm. But Brandon Cooks, man, he's cooking right now. So if you got him, play him. He might be just one of those guys where it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. He's gonna get all the looks when it comes to the receiving. So I know I was playing against him this week in my fantasy league, and he tore me up.
Yeah, so Brandon Cooks is definitely showing that he's quarterback proof so far. The second most targeted guy was Anthony Miller, who was targeted 6 times, and he caught 4 for 20 yards and a touchdown. Next up was Jordan Atkins, who caught 4 for 32. So, again, the Carolina Panthers did their job on defense, really did a good job against them. We didn't see no picks on the Houston Texans side. We did see a couple of sacks. I think it's 3 sacks they got. Yeah, they got 3 sacks. Jonathan Greenard, Ross Blacklock, and Whitney Marcellus. All right, now let's go ahead and now look at the Carolina Panthers side of the ball. Sam Darnold. Remember last week you said there was a meme where it said Matthew Stafford, how good would the Lions be if they traded for Matthew Stafford? Mm-hmm. This week I heard how good would the Jets be if they traded for Sam Darnold. Yeah, Sam Darnold, it's like a rebirth of his, thankfully he was able to get out of the Jets. But he went 23 for 34 for 304 yards. He did not throw any touchdowns, but he ran 2 of them in. So he had 8 carries for 11 yards and 2 touchdowns. What about Sam Darnold? What are you seeing from him so far?
He looks good. But this particular game, I was irritated as a Christian McCaffrey fan. Mm-hmm. They got down to the goal line, and then Sam Darnold ran it in. Shortly after that, Christian McCaffrey got injured. So, again, I was playing against this guy too. Same guy had Cooks and Darnold in that game going. And, man, I had Christian McCaffrey got that carry at that goal line and got that touchdown, I'd feel a lot better about my team that week because I did lose. But, yeah, man, he was able to get 2 rushing touchdowns. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, we know in fantasy, even if you, let's say, win or lose the week, those points definitely count towards, the record eventually. But let's talk about it. Christian McHalf season. He did get injured again.
Yeah.
Surprisingly this time, usually before he gets injured, he's able to do enough for your fantasy team. This time he didn't do as much. He went 7 carries for 31 yards and 2 receptions for 9 yards, but then that's when he got hurt. McCaffrey, he's a great player, but he's proving to so far not be able to play season long. And, that also they do use him as a workhorse. They use him a lot, but
Christian McCaffrey makes me want to drink.
Here we go, taking your sip. But so Chuba Hubbard if he's on the waiver wire, you definitely might want to look at him. Now they did not put Christian McCaffrey on the IR, so which would be at least three weeks out. So they might be optimistic about him returning a bit sooner than that. But until that time being, even if you're Christian McCaffrey season owner, you may want to take a look at Chuba Hubbard,
which I did.
Yeah. All right. And another name to keep in mind is Royce Freeman too, because we don't know how they might.
Yeah, they might split it.
Yeah. Chuba Hubbard did come in at the end of that game, and he ran pretty well. So even in this game, he did get 11 carries for 52 yards, which is 4.7 average. So it's not bad. But we got to keep talking about him. He's on fire. DJ Moore.
Yeah.
He's looking like a really consistent guy. Like as consistent as Brandon Cooks has been, I'm much more confident in DJ Moore because that Houston Texans offense scares me. But DJ Moore has been getting it done on a consistent team. They're 3-0 Panthers. So DJ Moore went 12 targets. He caught 8 of those for 126. The next people to be targeted was Chuba Hubbard, who was targeted 5 times, and also Terrace Marshall Jr. also targeted 5 times. And Terrace Marshall respectively did 4 for 48, and Chuba Hubbard did 3 for 27. So we know the thing about Carolina, why their backfield is so important and so valuable in fantasy, is because they definitely target the running backs with some targets.
Yeah.
They pepper them with targets. And yeah, Robbie Anderson again, 2 targets, and he only caught 1 for 8. So I'm not feeling too good about Robbie Anderson here. Now, Sam Darnold did fumble twice, but they were able to recover both of them. And then also that Carolina defense combined for 4 sacks. Brian Burns got 1. Hassan Reddick got 1.5. Frankie Louvu got 1. And Morgan Fox got a 0.5 sack. So
yeah, J.C. Horn got injured in this game.
Yeah.
Broken foot. I think it was like broken in 3 different places. So not sure how long that timetable of healing is, but they did go and make a trade for C.J. Henderson, I believe. So, I mean, if you have Carolina defense on fantasies, I would hold on to them.
Yeah, we're talking about J.C. Horn last week because he got the interception last week, and he was playing really, really good. I mean, with the injury to McCaffrey, we'll see what they can do against, like you said, Dallas this week. So yeah, Panthers do play Dallas upcoming, and then the Texans will be playing that's week 5, the Bills. So it's not getting any easier for the Houston Texans. All right, let's jump into our next game. So next up, we had the Colts 16 against the Titans 25. So Titans won against the Colts. Now, Derrick Henry, he didn't have as big as a game as he had week 2. That would have been nice if he did as a fantasy manager again of Derrick Henry. But we did see a lot more improvement for Tannehill. Tannehill did a lot better this week than he has in the past. The first touchdown of the game was a short pass over the middle to Rodgers. And I remember even wanting Tannehill they were down in the goal line, and the running back was in there was McNichols. And I was like, where's Henry? Because they've been doing a lot to get Henry the ball through the air a lot lately. Yeah, so Tannehill, the first touchdown he got to was Chester Rogers. And before we look at the Tennessee side of things, Carson Wentz, I said it last week. I've never been a fan. Again, continue to not. And I feel like possibly Indianapolis now may not be fans either. I feel like just the wind's out of their sails. Even the defense don't look as good. I do got to mention Jonathan Taylor ran 10 for 64 yards, which, that's 6.4 yards a carry. So he ran really good. And then I seen a report today say that the coach didn't use Marlon Mack because they're shopping him.
I saw that.
Yeah, to trade. So we'll see what happens with that. And because of that, Nyheim Hines had an pretty good game. So he also rushed 6 times for 25 yards and a touchdown. And also he even had 6 targets and he caught 5 for 54. So yeah, Nyheim Hines, if he can do what he did last year before getting hurt, he may be somebody to look at. And he might be, because Marlon Mack may not be there anymore. Again, so Carson Wentz, he went 19 for 37, which is almost, basically half, 50% there. He only went for 194 yards. Yeah, it wasn't looking good for the Colts side of things. He does pepper Michael Pittman with a lot of targets, 12 targets, and now he caught 6 and went 6 for 68. So there wasn't too many big plays. And then because they were playing from behind, you also saw Zach Pascal with 7 targets. He only went 2 for 31. Nyheim Hines, as I mentioned, went 6 with 6 targets, went 5 for 54. But man, they got no touchdowns just through the air this week. Now we can credit the Tennessee defense with that.
I don't know about that one.
But also, again, it could.
Yeah, I think Wentz coming into this game with like 2 sprained ankles. I didn't watch the game, so I don't know how his mobility was. But Carson Wentz, man, I know Colts fans had a lot of high hopes because he did have that MVP type season just a couple of years ago. But again, it seems like injuries now for Wentz is hindering him, and it might be one of those players that are just injury prone.
Yeah.
So, because the Colts have a great O-line.
Yeah.
Coming into the season, they had one of the best O-line in the league. So,
and we even thought, maybe his head coach, they're reuniting Frank Wright. That's when he had his MVP season with the Eagles. So there was I know some people who had high hopes for Wentz, even drafted him. But yeah, just after that MVP season, he hasn't been able to finish the season, like you said. So yeah, Wentz always been injury prone. But their defense did show some positive things. They did have 2 interceptions, Kenny Moore and Darius Leonard. Also, they also added 1 sack, Okereke. Hopefully I said that correctly. But, when you don't have an offense that can keep up, then, it doesn't matter. But now we'll go ahead and now take a look at the Tennessee side of things. As mentioned, Tannehill. So he showed a bit more. However, he went 18 for 27, 197 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 picks. What's your thoughts on Tannehill?
This is what I want Dak Prescott to be. I want him to be a game manager. We already know King Henry's the guy that they're going to force feed. And Tannehill just needs to be there to manage the game. Pick and choose, pick up a third down here and there. And I feel like that's what he has a good role of doing that. In Miami, when he was playing with them, he wasn't flourishing over there. It's not till when he came to Tennessee where he started shining. Wasn't he a Pro Bowler too?
Yeah.
So it's working. Him having a running back like King Henry, it allows him to not have to be the guy. So I don't think Tannehill is ever going to be a top tier, but playing for the Titans, he's going to be just enough for that franchise.
Yeah, I always saw Tannehill, the last couple seasons, he was always top, I want to say top 10. He always league killer, but he was consistent. And like we mentioned, season he hasn't been so. And I think I drafted him both leagues, but I've been sitting on it because but this week, thankfully, with the 3 touchdowns, and also
now we see
with Julio. And then that's another thing. I thought, oh man, they got Julio. He should be balling out, right?
Yeah.
But worked out yet. This week pretty good, but want to see more of the same. Derrick Henry again is still a beast. He ran the ball 28 times for 113 yards, averaging 4 yards. Derrick Henry, 3 times. He caught all 3 for 31. Yeah, Derrick Henry is a beast. I like backfields that
don't really
they have that workhorse. I know it takes a special talent to be able to
endure that kind
total.
Yeah.
But Derrick Henry
is definitely one of them.
for 56 yards, so he
pretty
ran
good.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
And like I said, Jeremy McNichol only carried the ball 2 times for 6 yards in the red zone, where he came across and he was throwing the ball from Tannehill and he scored the touchdown. And I was really hoping to see Henry on the back of that jersey, but when they said McNichols, I was like, well, can't be too greedy, right?
Yeah.
Now they evenly distributed the ball. Nobody got more than 4 targets, but 3 guys did get 4 targets. So Westbrook got 4 targets. He caught all 4 for 53 and 1. Julio got 4 targets. He caught 3 for 47. And Swaim was targeted 4 times. He caught 3 for 27. Again, Derrick Henry caught 3 for 31. So, maybe AJ Brown was targeted twice and he didn't catch any of them. Should we be worried about AJ Brown?
No, I wouldn't be, because he came into the season injured, dealing with some stuff. And I think now with this game, it's going to give him a chance to get healthy. It's a long season. And we already know Titans are going to be in there for the playoff hunt. So if you do have AJ Brown, hopefully hold on to him a little bit longer. Because King Henry, as much as he is a king, he's going to need a break, a couple of these games, just so they could have him ready for the playoff run. So
yeah.
And same for Julio. I have Julio in all my fantasy leagues, all 3. And he had a good game last week. And now this game, it's like he fell back down. So, but again, the same thing. Don't worry. Let's not panic yet with these receivers on the Titans. Give it some time.
Yeah, and that's a good point. It's a 17-week season, 16 game for each team. It's it. Remember, they are 2-1. They're not running away 3-0, so they're definitely going to be fighting for games. But by the end of the season, we'll see what happens. They may want to start resting. So if you're an owner of those players, keep that in mind. Westbrook, who we mentioned, did get the touchdown, but he also lost a fumble. The defense had no interceptions. But then again, Wentz didn't complete very much either. So that means they were just in the realm of nobody. Nobody could catch these balls.
Yeah. Yeah, he was throwing them to us over here in California.
Yeah. The defense had 2 sacks. Adonai had 1.5, and then Harold Landry also had half a sack. Now the kickers, we got to mention them. So Randy Bullock went 1 for 1. It was a 32-yarder, and he made both extra points. And as far as the Colts kicker, let's see here, Blankenship, he went 3 for 4, his longest, a 43-yarder, and made the 1 extra point. So not too bad there. Now each of these teams, so next week the Colts will be playing Miami. Oh, so that's they may be able to squeak out a win there because
no Tua.
Although, Brissett did actually look pretty good this week.
He did.
We'll get into that.
He did look pretty good.
And then the Titans play the Jets.
Oh.
So, again, hopefully we can really see Tannehill and, of course, always fire up Henry. The next game we're going to get into is the Falcons, who actually defeated the Giants 17-14.
Say what?
Yeah. And we mentioned this last week that both of these defenses did not impress. But surprisingly, the defense is somewhat of a defensive game here.
There's just 2 horrible teams playing each other.
Yeah. Honestly.
Do we know any Giants fans out there?
Yeah. We've got a Craig. We have a mutual friend, Craig. He's a Giants fan. And what up, Craig, if you're watching this?
Hey, Craig, knock, knock. Owen. 0-3.
Oh, Dallas are heartless.
Yeah, man.
All right, so getting into the game, Matt Ryan went 27 for 36 for 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. And so this running back tandem they got going, Mike Davis, he had 12 carries for 50
yards. Continuing to get a lot
a lot around every position there. So he had 7 carries for 20 yards. He didn't run that great, but he also had, of course, 7 targets, caught 6 for 82. So Cordarrelle Patterson so far, they definitely want to use him. They keep using him. But what do you think about Mike Davis?
Yeah, Mike Davis has been a letdown. I have him, but just let me go back to Patterson real quick because in Yahoo Fantasy, if you're using that format, Patterson is listed as a running back and a receiver. So the fact that you could put him at a running back position, and if you're in a PPR league, I mean, he's getting a lot of touches. So I think I might have to go pick him up right now.
Yeah, I actually picked him up in one of the leagues, but I'll be honest, it's funny because I don't have enough confidence to play him in any of my running back slots. And then the receivers I got, Thielen, I got like high upside guys. It's hard to play him in any of those slots either. So,
I mean, okay, let's put it this way. If he does it again this week against Washington, then he gets to play the Jets the week after. So
there you go.
If I'm gonna put him on my watch list right now, and I'm gonna pay attention to him.
Yeah, and I think he out carried Mike Davis last week. So now that Mike Davis got more carries, that's kind of concerning me. But I mean, it shouldn't be too much because 7 carries is still quite a lot. So he's definitely getting work out there.
I don't know.
We talked about the Giants defense last week. We saw what they allowed Heineke to do to them. Heineken. And we expected a lot better from Matt Ryan. I mean, he did fairly well. Maybe he game managed, he played down, but I guess we could say it. Matt Ryan isn't who he used to be. Now, granted, he had a good enough fantasy week, but I remember Matt Ryan when he used to put up 3-4 touchdowns. He had an MVP season as well.
Yeah.
So, it's looking like it's Matt Ryan of old.
So you think Father Time is?
It's old Matt Ryan, I should say, actually.
So Father Time, man.
Yeah, Father Time. But I mean, Matt Ryan, I love him. He's a great player. As a Buccaneer fan, seen him twice a year for many years. But I guess keep playing as long as you can if you're playing like this for us.
Yep.
So let's go into the receivers now. So Calvin Ridley had 11 targets, caught 8 for 61. And I also have Calvin Ridley. He's a great player. We mentioned Cordarrelle Patterson had 7 targets, went 6 for 82. And Zacchaeus had 6 targets, went 3 for 32. He caught a touchdown as well. And so did Lee Smith. He had 3 for 7 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, we know their other player, Russell Gage, was out this game.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was out this game. I had seen an update right before the game, so I made sure I had Calvin Ridley in there. Yeah, I'm not sure when he'll be back, but like you said, the Falcons have Washington this week. Are you comfortable starting any Falcons if you have them this week upcoming? Now I have Ridley.
Well, Washington defense. We'll talk about them when we get to them.
Yeah,
their defense, their secondary looks super weak. So maybe I would.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Maybe I would start Ridley, and maybe Pitts is finally going to shine.
Yeah. Now I forgot to mention Pitts had 3 targets, went 2 for 35, and as I watched him against my Bucks last week, he looks great. He looks really good. So, maybe he just needs his breakout. Matt Ryan did lose a fumble. No interceptions. However, they had plenty of pass deflects. Man, Daniel Jones, what is going on? But Grady Jarrett had a sack. And then we didn't mention him last week. Younghoe Koo, man. He went 1 for 1. Longest was a 40 on 2 for 2. Last year, he was like one of the best kickers in the league. This year, that offense maybe looks like not dependable enough to hold on to him. But let's go ahead now and let's look at the Giants side of the ball. So Daniel Jones, he went 24 for 35 for 266. No touchdowns, no interceptions, a lot of pass deflects. But this time around, he only rushed 8 times for 39 yards. So we didn't see the legs out of Daniel Jones that we've seen the first 2 weeks. But, we got to mention him again, Saquon Barkley. Did he finally have a good game?
He had a decent game. And I'm pretty sure Giants fans just watching this game, when Saquon scored, they were probably like, okay, this is it. it's his time. He finally got in there. I think it was his first touchdown
Yeah.
since 2019.
Yeah.
So even when I saw as a Barkley owner, I was like, all right, man, let's do this.
Yeah.
But then after that, he didn't get the ball very much. Kind of just, I don't know. I had left the game, so I didn't see how it played out. But I thought for sure Barkley would they would feed him after that touchdown because he looked pretty happy himself.
Oh, that's awesome.
But he had a decent game.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen more against this horrible Falcons defense.
So we mentioned last week Saquon, we didn't see I didn't see the burst that I've seen from in past. But even this time he only averaged 3.2 yards a carry. But he did get that touchdown. It's great to see. Maybe that's just the confidence boost he needs. To start to turn on the Jets again. And we really hoping for you to pull through, Saquon, and be your old self again. But we understand the injuries
or not.
Well, for him,
or not. I mean,
you're in the same division.
You could just not be better at all.
Yeah, if they don't start winning soon, like we mentioned last week, they might just start benching everybody. Seeing what they got as far as their backups.
So before we get into more stats, I kind of just, if we have any Giants fans out there, how do you feel about Jason Garrett right now as your offensive coordinator? Go ahead and put that in the chat or something, because Jason Garrett was with the Cowboys for too many years. For too long. He overstayed his stay. So I want to know how you guys are feeling. This is Jason Garrett's second year, I believe, right, as the offensive coordinator. So go ahead and let me know how you're feeling about him.
We're going to see them play the Saints this next week, and that should be – because Saints got a tough defense. However, we've seen that offense can be stopped. Week 1, they killed everybody, but then week 2, they were just murdered. But maybe the Giants can, Giants and Saints, maybe they could get back right that game. But let's go ahead and jump into the receivers now. So Saquon had 7 targets. He actually had the most receptions, and he went 6 for 43. So maybe it seems like they're trying to get him to be himself again.
Well, they're going to need him to be himself.
Yeah.
If they want to do anything. I mean, like I said, Jason Garrett being the offensive coordinator, one thing, his blueprint was feeding Zeke. Now that we have McCarthy, it's different. But Jason Garrett likes to use his running backs a lot. It goes through them. So
So the next person, he tied with the highest targets, 7, was Colin Johnson. He went 5 for 51. Hey, we had a Kenny Golladay sighting, 5 targets. He caught 4 for 64, which is pretty good. And also, again, we had an Evan Ingram sighting. Now he had 6 targets, but he only caught 2 for 21.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, he might be somebody to look at. He's back. Yeah, keep an eye on him. I think what happened here is they didn't have those big plays to Slayton like they did last week.
Yeah, and Sterling Shepard got injured during the game.
Yeah.
A hamstring, which I was bummed out about because I started him. But one thing too, just Golladay, when you mentioned him, remember last week we said he was yelling at Danny Dimes?
Yep.
He was actually yelling at Jason Garrett.
Oh.
So there's an article that came out, and he even said it himself. He said it wasn't towards Danny Dimes, it was at Jason Garrett. And when you saw the video, it panned out a little bit, and Jason Garrett, sure enough, was sitting right there, and Golladay was yelling at his direction. So
got it.
And then Golladay has a good game.
Yeah.
He had the most yards on his team. So
yeah. And I think Evan Ingram, he's getting back right, because he even had a fumble loss this game, so he might have even been in the negative.
Yeah.
Possibly. But Evan Ingram, 6 targets. That's comforting to know. And Ojulari, we mentioned him last week. He had a sack. This week he had a forced fumble. And Ojulari is actually balling out on that defense. He also had a sack. So he seems like a good player, maybe a diamond in the rough there. And that might be why they were able to hold the Falcons to 17 points. Leonard Williams also had a sack, and Austin Johnson had a sack as well. Graham Gano, we mentioned him as automatic, but he didn't have opportunities this week. He didn't have many. He went 2 for 2 and his longest was 31. So, surprisingly, Falcons were able to somewhat slow down the Falcons. Oh no, did I say that correctly?
What's that? Wait, I'm still tripping because you said Gano had 2 for 2 field goals.
Yeah,
but they scored 14. I'm like trying to do the math right here. Like how?
Yeah. That's what I was doing. Maybe.
That was like 6. Did they go for a 2? Because we see Saquon has a touchdown, so that's 6.
Yep.
Then 12. So they must have went for a 2 or something. I don't know. I was just tripping out on that right now. That was interesting. Because I was gonna say, if that's true, if Gano did make 2 field goals, I mean, let's be real, he's the only bright spot on the Giants right now.
It looks like they went for a 2-point two-point conversion, and they were able to successfully get it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okay then.
But
Gano is a go.
Gano is a go. I mean, hopefully they give him more opportunities. Young Way Cool is so cool, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
He
he's
ain't
cool.
no fool. Like you mentioned, the Falcons play Washington next week, and the Saints play the Giants. So
we know Devin is a Falcons fan,
yeah,
and then we got
we have our cousin Devin.
Yeah, and then we have some other cousins that are Washington fans.
Yeah, we have another cousin.
Although they're in the hiding right now about it. You know, they're trying to say they're California teams now, but we know what's up.
Yeah, I actually know quite a few Washington fans, and they like their defense. I guess let's talk about it. Well, we haven't got to that game yet, but so you know that'll be a good game.
Well, if you're a Washington fan and you want to hear about it, stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. We'll get to you guys shortly. But before we do, again, the guy that I had in the MVP race, now he didn't do much this week. Well, so the Arizona Cardinals defeat the Jacksonville Jaguars 31-19. So the Arizona now move on to 3-0, and Jacksonville is now 0-3. So we'll talk about the Cardinals side first. Kyler Murray, he went 28 for 34, 316 yards passing, 0 passing touchdowns, although he had 1 rushing and 1 interception. Kyler Murray, you know, the guys we mentioned last week as our MVP candidates, Kyler Murray, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. Now, Kyler didn't have the best passing week or, you know, stat week, but he still got the win.
Yeah.
Mahomes had a good passing week. However, they didn't win. And that defense, Charger defense, we'll get to that game. They did pretty good against him. And Tom Brady, he had a pretty good passing week, but did not win. So this
Derek Carr was in there too.
Yeah, for you.
You know, yeah, for me.
For you. And Raiders Raiders having some of the best games. They're fun to watch. But let's continue. So Kyler Murray, 316 yards. Now, as far as rushing, I have Chase Edmonds on my team. They got down there, and every time they're in the red zone, it's James Conner. He had the 2 rushing touchdowns. They split the carries, 11 and 11. Conner went for 43 and 2 touchdowns, as mentioned. Chase Edmonds had 26 yards, no touchdowns. But we know that Chase Edmonds, they like to use through the air. That's why still pretty comfortable running him, especially in a PPR. He had 8 targets, and he caught 7 for 49. Are you worried about DeAndre Hopkins? He was targeted 6 times. He only caught 3 for 21. So far, he's not having a great season, which is surprising.
He was injured. See, so a lot of these injuries, man, it makes me, it's true. Like, okay, so right here it says sore ribs. So he had sore ribs going. I know it was a game time decision. He managed, it must have been a pain tolerance thing, and he played. So, but I don't know. Worried about him. I don't think you could ever be worried about DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
Because he's going to get his. But if you look at AJ Green, he stepped up and Kirk stepped up. So I think, you know, those 2 guys stepping up for their fellow teammate, you know, let him rest his ribs a little bit longer. I
got to apologize. Last week, AJ Green, I called you an old man. You're making me.
Oh, he must have tuned in. Yeah, he tuned in.
Make me bite my tongue.
What's up, AJ?
Yeah, AJ Green, man. You balling out. Hey, the resurgence, man. Welcome back.
Keep getting that green, AJ.
Oh, yeah. So, again, AJ Green had 6 targets, caught 5 for 112. And Christian Kirk, again, keeps doing it. So he had 8 targets, caught 7 for 104. We already mentioned D-Hop, only caught 3 for 21. Max Williams, their tight end, he had 3 targets, and he caught all 3 for 19 yards. Connor had 1 target and went for 10 yards. Now, Rondale Moore, last week he had so many targets. Of course, we knew it was much more of a back and forth, high-scoring game. But this one, he only had 2 targets, and he caught both, but only got 1 yard out of it. But he also had 1 rushing attempt. So it seems like they want to use him, get him involved, but they didn't necessarily need him as much this game. Now, he did fumble a ball, but he was able to keep it. But Arizona defense, all right. You know, we looked at Jacksonville last week, and we said, man, that offense, you know, that coaching.
Yeah.
So I said, all right, I'm starting up Arizona defense against them. Boy, oh boy, did it pay off. Byron Murphy, thank you for that touchdown. I mean, just amazing. Pick 6. Yeah, I had the game on in the background and I'm listening and just all I hear is interception. Oh, pick 6. And I'm just like, yes.
Yeah.
But Byron Murphy had 2 picks this game. And Jordan Hicks had a sack as well as Marcus Golden. Oh man, you hate to see it for Jacksonville, but at the same time, there's got to be that team. There's got to be that team that's like, okay, I can fire up teams against them.
Yeah.
It seems like Jacksonville's it this year. Matt Prater, he made 1 field goal, he missed the other, but he made all 4 of his extra points. But all right, let's get into it. Let's talk about the Jacksonville side of the ball.
Yeah, how exciting this is going to be. I can't wait.
So Trevor Lawrence, he went 22 for 34 for 219 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. And we know one of those picks was a pick 6. What do you think of the first overall pick so far?
I was rooting for him.
Yeah.
I drafted him. I liked what he was doing in college, but it's not panning out for him right now. I still think he's a good quarterback, but I think just time.
Yeah,
Definitely more time.
better coach.
Better coach, maybe.
That's what it is. A coach ain't doing him no favors.
Maybe trade him
man.
to like the Colts for like Wentz or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we know they won't do that. First round pick, first overall pick. So but yeah, maybe just a new coach. Maybe
Yeah.
build the line. Now they could build around him.
You know, it's sad because his first season now, and he's not like the coach is so bad that you kind of want to wipe this season out from memory. But so you have no foundation as far as your rookie season goes.
Yeah, and if you're a Jags fan, you're probably like, oh well, our running back got injured.
Mhm.
So when excuses start to roll in, that he did lose his running back, right? The rookie.
Yeah, at the
And they were high on him, so that's an excuse there. So with Jags, we'll just hear the excuses as the season goes on because it's looking like a long road ahead of them.
Yeah. Now Trevor Lawrence did actually rush quite a bit this game. He had 6 rushes. He got only 27 yards out of it. But I think the one bright side we did see in this game was they used James Robinson.
Finally.
Yeah. Finally, right? 15 carries for 88 yards and a touchdown. Looked great. That's almost 6 yards a carry. And also they got him involved in the passing game, 6 targets, caught 6 for 46. Yeah, just for now until Trevor Lawrence is ready, keep giving the ball to James Robinson.
And I was starting to worry about him. I was like, man, this seems just so bad. I have him in 2 of my leagues, and I was like, man, I'm gonna have to drop him. But I was like, you know what? We saw what he did last year, and that memory is still fresh, or it's fresh in my memory when he was a league winner. He was on the waiver, picked him up, helped me go to the championship. So I know if they just feed him and involve him more, and they did this week, and now look at the outcome. They still lost, but who cares, right? We play fantasy. We want the points.
Yeah.
So yeah, James Robinson looked like J-Rob.
And on top of that, he did it all season last week. He can take the he can be the bell cow.
Yeah.
And he's pretty good with it. So again, just keep going through James Robinson. Now they did give Carlos Hyde 8 carries and he went for 44 yards, which is pretty good as well. They ran pretty well against the Cardinals, and maybe they exploited some things there. So Arizona's 3-0, and we'll see who they take on next week, which is the Rams. And boy, oh boy, dude, Rams are looking tough, but we'll get to that game. Now let's hit up the receivers. So now Marvin Jones still led the team with 8 targets, and he caught 6 for 62. He still seems like a safe play every week.
Mm-hmm.
And DJ Chark actually got involved this week. So he had 6 targets. He caught 3 for 49 and a touchdown, as well as Laviska Shenault. He had 4 targets, caught all 4 for 48. And as we mentioned, James Robinson had 6 targets and caught all 6 for 46. So, we see good things, good players on this offense. It's just the coaching, I think he's putting too much into Trevor's hands right now. Maybe rely on the run a bit more. And, again, even Trevor Lawrence had two lost fumbles this week. So
Yeah.
now they did have an interception off of Kyler Murray. And yeah, and they also had a kick return for a touchdown.
Did they?
Yeah, I believe it's
Agnew. Wasn't a missed field goal?
Yeah, missed field goal. Agnew, I think it was like he tied the record for longest touchdown ever.
That's right.
And yeah, that was a great play. And however, that's not the one play that stuck out this, record breaking or record tying play that happened this past week. We'll get into that one with the Ravens.
The Ravens?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
By the name of Goat Tucker.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll get into that one. But yeah, that was a great kickoff or missed field goal return for a touchdown. Yeah, Wingard had that pick as mentioned. They had no sacks, however, which is surprising because Josh Allen's been playing pretty well. Yeah, and he didn't have nothing. Now their kicker, he had no opportunities, went 0 for 0, but he missed 2 extra points out of the 3. Josh Lambo. So hopefully you guys didn't play him this week. He got you, even if -1, that's not good at all.
Lambo put you in limbo.
Oh yeah, yeah, he did. Lambo put you in limbo. But man, it's funny. A kickoff. It's not considered a kickoff return. It's not considered a punt return. It's a missed field goal return. That's funny. But he did well. So as mentioned, Arizona takes on the Rams this upcoming week. So somebody's got to get their first loss. And the Jaguars will be taking on, if you already have it, the Bengals. So we're going to look at the top 2 quarterback picks from the last 2 drafts.
Ooh, that's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and go to the next game, which is going to be Washington 21, who are now 1-2, who lost to the Bills, who are now 2-1. 43-21, the Bills won. Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, did he come back and show quite a lot this past week.
Yeah.
So Josh Allen, he went 32 for 43 for 358 yards and 4 touchdowns passing, but he even had a rushing touchdown as well. So 5 touchdowns, Josh Allen. And Josh Allen, if you're watching, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Been waiting for this. And I'm glad I, was confident enough to keep putting you in. Yeah. At the end of this game, they were blowing him out at the end. They played Mitchell Trubisky. But what's your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts on the game, just first and foremost, loved it for obvious reasons, as you guys can see.
Yeah.
Washington, whatever their names are, lost again. Defense looked horrible. And I got tired of hearing about it. I'm in the division. They're like, oh, Washington defense is going to be the best in the league. No, they're not. Go look at your fantasy waiver wire, and they're probably the number 1 thing being dropped right now. Trending, man. Top 5, I guarantee you. Promise you. So Chase Young, you're overrated. Sweat, you're definitely sweating because it ain't happening. So, and then your guys' secondary, I don't even know. Do they even show up for the game? I don't think they do.
Yeah. I expected this defense to somewhat limit them, but Josh Allen came out and said, you know what? Now's I want to break out, and this is the team it's going to be. Yeah. And so that's what happened.
And then if you're Heineken, I mean, he's probably going to need a lot more of those because it's going to be a long season for this team. At this point, I'm pretty sure if I was a Washington fan, I'm hitting up Fitzmagic and say, hey, man, we need you. Come back ASAP.
Yeah, Heineke did have 2 interceptions, but, even despite this game, I still like Heineke. We know the Bills is a good team. I still like Heineke, but, this defense shouldn't be allowing this, though. You're not doing Heineke any favors. We thought this defense would be a lot better. But, yeah, let's get into it. So, Zach Moss, he had 13 carries, went for 60 yards, no touchdowns. He did have 3 targets, caught 3 for 31 and a touchdown. I remember he got that receiving touchdown. And Singletary, he had 11 carries for 26 yards. So they were able to somewhat stop Singletary. And he had 2 targets, but he caught 1 for no yardage. Man, this backfield, I like both the players. but this is one of those ones where it's like you don't know who it's going to be.
Because of the timeshare.
Yeah, the timeshare, you don't know which one it's going to be. The past 2 weeks, it was Singletary. This week, it's Zach Moss. Yeah, I don't know if I'm confident in either of the guys to be consistent. And then, as we mentioned, what's funny is Mitchell Trubisky came into that last drive to, put the game away. He only passed once and he rushed 4 times, Trubisky. Well, some of those were nil outs, but he rushed 4 for 19. And as we mentioned, Josh Allen rushed 4 for 9 and a touchdown himself. All right. These receivers, Cole Beasley, 13 targets, caught 11 for 98. And we'll talk about Stephon Diggs in a second. Cole Beasley, this is he used to be with Dallas.
Oh yeah, so does Washington. Washington fans, all about Cole Beasley. He stung you yet again.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's keeps doing it. He's dependable. Stephon Diggs, he was like one of the most unbenchable guys. Even him, like him and Hopkins. He had 10 targets, caught 6 for 62. Not the worst week, but he's not what he was last year. And I'm sure the draft capital you put on him, he's not paying off quite yet.
Yeah.
We see where these touchdowns went. Emmanuel Sanders, welcome to the party. 6 targets, 5 receptions, 94 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And those 2 touchdowns, he looked great. So Emmanuel Sanders might be one of the guys you might want to take a look at if he's available. And then their tight end, Dawson Knox. So he caught 5 targets. He had 5 targets, caught 4 for 49 and a touchdown. Oh man, yeah, they did. Honestly, Washington, your defense, that just let Josh Allen just play with you guys. You playing with this food back there, man. As far as the defense, Micah Hyde had the pick, and Poyer also had another pick, and Lutalele had a sack, and yeah, held the Washington football team to 21 points. Wow. I mean, even one of those touchdowns was, near garbage time. It was 14 to 43. So you can almost call that last touchdown to Logan Thomas a garbage time touchdown. Welcome back, Buffalo. And then we got to mention it because this offense is good. Their kicker, Tyler Bass, he went 3 for 3 for 4. Longest was a 48 and made all four extra points. So Tyler Bass, if as long as the Bills can continue to play good offense, he should be a good kicker. All right, let's look at the football team. So Taylor Heineke, I know last week I said he's competent. This week, he did not look as competent. He went 14 for 24 for 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 picks. And on the ground, he rushed 8 times for 21 yards and 1 touchdown. So he did get one on the ground. What did you see from Heineke this week?
Nothing.
Yeah,
No, I'm being serious. I didn't see anything from him this week.
Yeah. I mean, at one point, it was close in the second quarter. It was 14 to 21. But
okay, let me elaborate a little bit more. If you look at, what is his name? Antonio Gibson, 73-yard receiving touchdown. Take that away from Heineken's stats. It all happened in one play, which was all Gibson, because I saw the highlight.
Yeah.
Man, he turned on the speed. And,
it's basically 140 yards otherwise.
So I didn't see anything from Heineken outside of that Gibson play, but I was more on Gibson than it was Heineken.
Yeah.
So I'm serious. I didn't see anything.
Wow. Yeah. It was close in the second quarter, but as soon as the, second half started, Buffalo just ran away with it. So Buffalo made the proper adjustments at halftime and Washington did not. And maybe that's a reflection on the head coach.
Yeah.
The head coach got out-coached.
So I like to put myself in the, you guys' shoes. So if I'm Washington, your coach is Ron Rivera, Cam Newton's chilling at home. Is there a phone call going to happen? I mean, the season's not over. Are you giving up already? Still week 4 coming into this week. So, and then you're in the NFC least, where we all know anything could happen in that division.
Well,
so,
we'll get to that.
So, yo, call your boy Cam Newton. See what's up.
Yeah, maybe might be worth a call. But now Antonio Gibson, you mentioned him. He had that really long touchdown pass that saved his fantasy day. And But as far as rushing, he had 12 carries for 31 yards. That's less than 3 yards a carry. That is crazy. McKissick actually ran pretty well on his 3 carries. He went 3 for 23. But he only had 2 targets in the passing game, went 2 for 15. We mentioned Heineke had 8 carries. He had the scoring rushing touchdown. I believe that one was at the end of the game. No, that was earlier. Sorry. So that was in the first half. Yeah, Terry McLaurin, we said how good he looked. He had 7 targets this game. He caught 4 of them for 62, but no touchdowns. It's not the worst game again, but it's not as good as we would hope. But we mentioned last week Logan Thomas. We like the targets he got. I believe it was 6 last week. Now it's 4 this week, and he caught all 4 for 42 and a touchdown this week. So if you're Logan Thomas owner, you're still pretty confident in running him out there. Yeah, we didn't see much other than that from the Washington football team this week. Buffalo definitely came in and just, wanted to make a statement this week.
And I do feel bad for Washington because them being in our division when they were the Redskins, even I secretly admired the Redskins. They just had this certain swagger to them. Even the logo was always super dope. I thought it was tight.
Now
I don't know how it was racist. I don't get it. To me, we have some Indian heritage in our bloodline, so I was all supportive of it, and that's all a secret. You guys just heard a secret right there. I always admired low key, secretly thought Washington Redskins were a cool team. Now, not no more. Now it's like they lost that swagger to them. Yeah. They have no swagger no more. They were called a football team. Like, it's an embarrassment. I think Roger Goodell should go to the owner and be like, come on, man, what are we doing here? Like, we got to sell merchandise. Like, come up with something on this point, because if you're a player, right, just like Dion said, you look good, you feel good, you pay good, all that. Who do you play for? Football team? Yeah, I know. Which one? Yeah, the football team. Which one?
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
No, I asked you last week between the Giants and Redskins who you dislike more. I got to now also include the Eagles. Out of the Eagles in the football team, who do you dislike more?
Okay. It's always going to be Redskins. And so I thought about that even this whole week when you had asked me that. So here's the thing. Go ahead and ask Eagle fans, out of our division, who do they hate the most? Oh, they made documentaries about how much they hate the Dallas, okay? So there's that. So they're going to say Dallas. Okay, now go ask the Redskins. Who are they going to hate the most? They're going to tell you Dallas. Okay, now you go ask the Giants. They're going to say Dallas. Why? Because they're all just jealous of us. They want to beat us so bad. We don't even win nothing, and they still love to hate us. So, but, okay, now let me tell you why it's the Redskins. Okay, so they all hate us. Now, I could hate on any of them. Eagles, they only have 1 Super Bowl. Not much to hate on. We ain't worried about them. Giants, Eli Manning's gone. That's all you guys had. Okay, now your Redskins. Okay, now growing up, that was where most of the hate came from certain family members. So it was their hate that they showed. It's like, I can't let it go. And not just that, I'll never forget, I was young. It was a Monday night game. I think it was Santana Moss. Redskins fans will know what I'm talking about. And it was like a last long bomb, and they beat us. And it was games like that. I was like, man, I can't stand these Redskins. So for that reason, it'll always be them.
Yeah.
Until they get better, maybe the rivalry will come back. But because it's lopsided right now. But
well, there you go, Redskin fans.
Yeah.
Said from a Dallas fan.
You're welcome. I know you feel honored about that. Give you guys something to cheer about.
There you go. Now, we have to mention Logan Thomas did lose a fumble this game, and man, this defense had no sacks, no picks, no sacks. We expected a lot more from this defense. Again, it's Buffalo, and they do have Atlanta next week.
Who's that? Washington?
Washington.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a get right game there.
Maybe.
And they're 1-2. So hey, if they win next week, they're still 2-2. There's still a lot of hope there.
That's true.
And Buffalo, as we mentioned already, take on Houston Texans next week. All right. So that's that. So now let's go ahead and get into the next game. All right, here we go. So the Jets versus the Broncos. The Jets were shut out 0-26, the Broncos. So the Broncos are now 3-0, and the Jets are 0-3. Wow.
I got to say something about this game.
Yeah.
Just because when you said those teams, I kind of fell asleep real quick.
Yes.
But the Broncos, though, is it possible that they're 3-0 and that they're going like under the radar as a 3-0 team?
I mean,
I don't hear much noise about Broncos at all.
No. And again, it could be possibly they may have not played like great teams. I mean, we could go ahead and look at that. But yeah, so to me, they remind me of like Panthers, you know? Oh, wow. Well, let me see. So they defeated the Jaguars and the Giants.
Okay.
So the teams they've defeated are not some great teams.
Okay, that makes sense because I was just thinking, man, this is a 3-0 team, but they're not getting much love right now. I mean, at least not from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, and next week they will finally see them against a good team with the Ravens.
Okay.
All right. So
we'll find out. We'll find
out if they're contenders or pretenders.
Yeah.
But a team that definitely is not a contender is the Jets. So we'll start on this side. 0-3. Zach Ilson. Ilson is not good.
Man.
All right, Zach Ilson. So what he did, which is not much, he went 19 for 35, 160 yards, 0 touchdowns, obviously, 0 points, and 2 interceptions, and did nothing through the ground to help him. And he took so many sacks. Yeah. Again, if you're a Jets fan, this is 2 weeks in a row now. You're just watching your quarterback just get murdered. Your team just get murdered. And it's funny because so the Patriots, yeah, you can shut down, but at least your defense should do more than what they're doing.
Yeah.
They allowed Mac Jones to beat them, which we'll get into that game. Yeah. If you're a Jets fan, I feel sorry. I'm sorry for the way the past few seasons have been going.
Yeah, it's just tough for them.
But yeah, even the ground game. So let's look at it. So Michael Carter had 9 carries for 24 yards. He's not able to do much. And Ty Johnson had 3 carries for 17, which is pretty good. But, you know, they had to abandon the run fairly early. But we'll talk about it. So Corey Davis, who you mentioned last week, he had an okay game. 10 targets. You love to see that, but he only caught 5 for 41.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like they don't know what they're doing on offense. They don't know who their go-to guys are. Obviously, you know, yeah, it's just not looking. Michael Carter had 3 targets, only caught 2 for 5. Yeah, man, not much to talk about. Even Braxton Berrios, who had a lot of targets last week, only had 3 this week. Yeah, I'm avoiding any and all players on the Jets right now.
Yep. Same here.
I mean, I mentioned Michael Carter last week, but 9 carries for 24 yards. They're not getting no holes. They're not being able to open anything. I mean, can you draft a punter? that would be the only guy.
Most punts in a game. Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, man, their defense, Quinnen Williams had 1.5 sacks, and then Bryce Huff had another 0.5 sack. Yeah, that's just tough, man. I guess there ain't not much to say, right? So let's go ahead and talk about the Broncos now. So Teddy Bridgewater, he went 19 for 25, 235 yards, and he also added 4 carries for 24 yards. No touchdowns, however. Man, can you trust anybody on this Broncos? It's to me that's like they don't have any great fantasy players. Melvin Gordon did get a touchdown, and so did Javonte Williams. But I mean, those are like flex guys for me. They're not. You can't not depend on them.
I mean, Bridgewater is probably not going to hurt you. So if he's a backup for you, if you're in a 2 quarterback league like I am,
yeah,
Bridgewater might seem trustworthy just because I'm not seeing no picks.
Yeah, but you're gonna want at least a touchdown, you know.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, there's bye weeks gonna start coming up soon. So if you're forced to play Bridgewater, you're gonna feel confident he's not gonna hurt you in any way, like getting negative points.
Yeah.
But outside of that, the receivers, I mean, Sutton did good last week. This week it was kind of just mediocre.
Yeah, 5 for 35.
So maybe it's just for them right now. It's just based on their matchup. So week to week.
Yeah. It's hard to play any of these guys with confidence, but they're getting it done. It's just it changes every week. Tim Patrick actually is somewhat consistent. This week he had 5 targets, caught all 5 for 98 yards, and it's a good yardage total there. As you mentioned, Cortland Sutton, he had 5 targets, caught all 5 for 37. Javonte Williams had 4 targets, caught 3 for 33 to go along with his 29 yards and a touchdown rushing. KJ Hamler caught 1 for 28, so that was a big play.
Yeah, he's out for the year.
Yeah, I seen that update. And then Melvin Gordon also caught 1 for 21, so he got a pretty good. Noah Fant, he's been pretty good the first 2 weeks. This week, he only had 3 targets and caught 2 for 15.
Yeah, that's concerning.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's just, although they won 26-0, I guess the only thing I'd want as far as this game was the defense. And they haven't played much. So with the Ravens, we will see. Javonte Williams did lose a fumble. That defense did have 2 interceptions off of Zach Ilson.
Son.
And to go along with that, they had 5 sacks as well. AJ Johnson had 2. Shelby Harris had 1. Malik Reed had 1. And Von Miller, who keeps popping up every week, had 1 as well. Yeah. One name, though, I did see did have a great week was Brandon McCanus. He had a 4 for 4. His longest was a 47 and made both his extra points.
Okay.
Yeah. So, again, they'll be playing the Ravens, and the Jets will go on to play the Titans. So, as we mentioned, man, Jets looking like a long season ahead of them.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and now jump into the next game here. All right, let's talk about them. So the Dolphins 28 to the Raiders 31. So the Dolphins now fall to 1-2, and the Raiders are now 3-0.
Raiders.
And this is another Raider game that went to overtime. Man, these Raider games are becoming must-watch games. This game was awesome.
Yeah, Raiders, baby.
So I remember watching the Buccaneer game, and then, that game ends, and not favorably for me, but we'll get into that. And watching the end of this Raider game, waiting for the Sunday night game. The way these Raider games keep ending are just awesome.
Yeah.
So at the end of the fourth quarter,
where was this game played at?
Oakland,
Las Vegas, right?
Or Vegas. Sorry.
So when you go to Vegas, what are you expecting? Right, you're expecting to be entertained. Did the Raiders not entertain us?
Yeah.
Is that not what they've been doing this year? Because
they've been entertaining.
Man, they're definitely living up to their Vegas name. And they sure did put on another show.
Yeah, so at the end, at the end of the game, Raiders, they have to stop Miami from scoring a touchdown. Miami drives all the way down, and then they do get the touchdown.
Hold on. I'll be back in 37 seconds. Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, so they do get the touchdown. Brissett, even they thought they got in right just before the Brissett rush. Then Brissett gets in with a rushing touchdown. And then, now they need a 2-point conversion. And they then successfully complete that to Will Fuller. So we're going crazy like, wow, they just did it. It's going to OT. Then they get into overtime. And Raiders go down, almost get a touchdown. However, I think Waller missed. He was open, but he just wasn't looking. But so then Daniel Carlson scores a field goal. And then sure enough, there goes Miami right back. They score a field goal. And then Raiders come right back down and score the field goal to win the game. These Raider games, the endings are just awesome. Fun TV.
Yeah, man. And I'm rooting for the Raiders.
Yeah, Raiders, when they're doing good, it's definitely good for the NFL. One of your MVPs, Derek Carr, he went 26 for 43, threw for 386, 2 touchdowns, and had a pick. Yeah, these are some pretty good numbers.
Derek Carr is definitely in my top 5 right now when it comes to like MVPs of the season.
Yeah.
And I'll talk a little bit more about that, but he's definitely up there. 2 weeks now, 3 weeks now in a row. He's just been lights out, balling.
Yeah, he's spreading the ball out.
And the thing too is all these teams that they be in last year had great defenses. Miami had great defense. Pittsburgh had the number 1 defense.
Yeah,
Baltimore is
always great teams.
So
yeah,
who do they play this week? Raiders.
Let me double check here.
Because
the Chargers. That's
okay. So another defense.
Yeah,
all right, but I'm telling you, if Derek Carr keeps doing it, and we know guys that in the past Derek Carr gets all the blame, rightfully so. It's the quarterback position. When they're balling, he's gonna get all the glory. So, and that's what he is. He's getting all the praise this year. So keep it up, Derek Carr.
Yeah, as far as the Raiders, their schedule, they got the who do we say next? Chargers. After that, the Bears. After that, the Broncos. Not until week 7 do they play the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
And all these are somewhat tough defenses. So, yeah, like you said, if Derek Carr can continue to keep playing this good against these good defenses,
yeah,
you definitely got to consider him. But their running back, their usual guy, was hurt.
Josh Jacobs. Yeah.
So Peyton Barber actually
out of nowhere.
Yeah, out of nowhere, 23 carries, 111 yards, and a touchdown, and looked great. And as a Buccaneer fan, I've seen Peyton Barber.
Yeah,
he's a really good. He was good for us. We just we had a timeshare back there, but he showed his definite what he can do, and he even had 5 targets and caught 3 for 31. Now Kenyon Drake also had 8 carries and ran for 24 yards. They even had him, Ruggs take a carry as well, and that went for 7 yards. So
yeah.
Now let's look at their receiving. So Ruggs and Darren Waller had the most targets combined both with 7. Ruggs caught 4 of them for 78 yards. I think Ruggs is the guy who changes the entire aspect of the offense, because he gets him on these deep plays and these big chunk plays, and it definitely opens up any defense they can ever face. Yeah. So Ruggs is looking like a really good option. He's more valuable to this offense than just fantasy or stat wise. He's actually helping that offense. Darren Waller, he had 7 targets, caught 554. As I mentioned, he could have had a bigger game if he was paying attention a little bit more, but yeah. And then Hunter Renfrow and Kenyon Drake both had 6 targets. Renfrow caught 5 for 77 and a touchdown, and Drake caught 3 for 33. Yeah, it's just a lot of love going around on this offense. I mean, you can even talk about guys like Brian Edwards. He had 5 targets, caught 3 for 89. Peyton Barber had 5 targets. Foster Moreau had 2. Zay Jones had singled.
And that's why I personally see Derek Carr as the MVP. He's in that race for sure, because he is spreading it around. And that's what you want to do. Yes, at the end of the day, we get to sit here and talk fantasy and look at these star players. Normally, that's when a lot of the times those stats can be misleading because they're not winning. And the Raiders are winning. Mm-hmm. And in order to win games, this is what the stat box has to look like. You had a running back over 100 yards. You had your receivers spread all around, even tight end to running backs to receivers. They're all getting love. And that keeps the chemistry good.
Yeah.
Nobody getting jealous. We live in a day and age where certain guys might be getting all the limelight and all the IG models,
mm-hmm.
So the other teammate gets jealous because ain't nobody sliding up in his DMs. But here, they're all balling. So,
yeah,
just win, baby.
Now, we'll mention this week we did expect a lot more from the defense. They allowed 28 points from a Brissett-led Miami offense.
That's true. Good point.
So this defense, didn't quite do what we expected in them. They had no picks. They did have 2 sacks on the day. Quentin Jefferson had 1, and then Carl Nassib and Solomon Thomas split 1.
That's actually a very good point. So let me just touch on that because, okay, if the Raiders want to be contenders, which we think they will, when Dolphins came to play you at your house, yeah, you would have liked to see them. This score should have been like 31 to like 3 or something,
mm-hmm.
or even 0, because you don't want to start playing down to your competition. And I feel like that's what irritates me about the Cowboys. They always do that.
Mm-hmm.
And look at what the Cowboys have done these years. They didn't do nothing. So yes, Raiders, don't overlook your opponents. You're still in the NFL. Still prepare. I genuinely feel like the Raiders knew Tua was out, mm-hmm. so they kind of just came in with their talent and maybe overlooked them a little bit.
Yeah.
Didn't watch enough film. They're like,
Brissett's not a great quarterback. We could kind of
just win off pure skill and just athleticism. But Brissett,
he played pretty well this game. And we got to mention this kicker, Daniel Carson, went 3 for 3, 50-yard longest. And again, he's making clutch field goals. He did miss an extra point, went 2 for 3. But no, yeah, he's been making some of the we'll talk about one guy with the most clutch field goal ever.
Just in time Tucker.
Yes, but Daniel Carson's looking definitely like money as well. Let's go ahead now. Let's take a look at the Miami side of things. So Jacoby Brissett, as you mentioned, went 32 for 49 for 215 yards, but he rushed 7 times for 37 and a touchdown. And that touchdown was that last one on that last drive, which the Raiders let them come back and almost upset them. So Brissett, 2 weeks ago, what he did in relief of Tua did not look good. This week, it looks like, he was a lot more prepared.
Yeah.
He was a lot more prepared, and he did a fairly well job this week. Tua is out for at least a few more weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what he can keep doing. I mean, if he can keep getting better. And again, they play the Colts next week.
Oh, he's going back home, right? Didn't he?
Oh, that's true. It's a revenge game. Hey, that might be one, a sneaky start there. Take a look at Jacoby Brissett. But yeah, he did pretty well this game, especially with as well the Raiders defense has been playing. Myles Gaskin had 13 carries for 65 yards, which is fairly good average, 5 yards a carry. We mentioned Brissett's carries already. He had the touchdown at the end there. Malcolm Brown also had the touchdown, and he ran for seven times for 31 yards in that touchdown. All right. Well, it seems like Brissett has favorite targets.
Yeah, he does.
Jalen Waddle, the rookie, 13 targets.
Yep.
Caught 12 of them for 58. Now, that's a really low average. But, I mean, he seems like he snaps the ball, turns to Waddle, and just.
Yeah, I can't help but laugh because I saw Waddle was kind of trending on the fantasy waiver wire. So I'm like, okay, let me go see what he did. I saw that. I saw 12 catches. I was like, oh, man, he must have had a ton of yards. 58? Like, what?
He maybe after he catches the ball, he waddles.
So must rolling or something because he was well, okay, so the average says 4.8 yards a catch. So yeah, like what were they doing? The quick little screens, and then he kind of just ran out of bounds or got tackled really quick because maybe Brissett, obviously each quarterback, each offense, they know the talent of their quarterbacks, their teams. Maybe, they knew Brissett, that's what of his strength is, little check downs. Yeah, it says right here his longest reception was 9 yards. So
yeah.
All right.
Now, hey, fire him up in PPR leagues.
As
long as Brissett's in there, just keep firing him up. And then Gesicki, the tight end, had 12 targets, caught 10 for 86.
Well, there he goes. I would think
people. It's funny because he's the older, bigger, a little bit slower guy.
Yeah, but some people drafted Gesicki.
Yeah.
This might have been the game where you might have to go look to see if he's available on your waiver.
Mm-hmm.
Like you mentioned, as long as Brissett's in there.
Yeah.
So, because, wow, 10 targets as a tight end.
12 targets.
12 targets.
Yeah.
10 catches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we saw what he did in Indianapolis. He always went to his tight ends a lot.
He did.
So, yeah, as long as Brissett's in there and keep firing up Gesicki. Now, Devontae Parker had 7 targets, but he only caught 4 for 42. Are you afraid of Devontae? I got to say, with at least Brissett in there, I'm going to be afraid to start Devontae Parker for a while.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, those 13 targets to Waddle would be a lot nicer. 7 targets ain't bad.
Yeah.
But, I don't know.
Yeah,
we did see Will Fuller come back this week.
We did.
And he had 6 targets and he caught 3 for 20. Well, Miami's 1-2, so the season ain't over. I mean, I bet you they're going to want a few wins under Brissett. We'll see if they can pull it out. They had 1 interception, the defense, Landon Roberts, and he returned it for 85 yards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, pretty good. And then they, as a team, had 3 sacks. And Brandon Jones had 2 of them, and Christian Wilkins had 1.
So basically, that's a bright spot for this team right now is their defense.
Yes.
I mean, think about it. You're going against the red-hot Raiders.
Mhm.
And the fact that who was it? Roberts had a pick six. You had 3 sacks, right?
Yeah.
So you got to be feeling good. I mean, Miami Dolphins, they have something there when it comes to their defense. They have a core because their defense was good last year as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if the interception. Yeah, it did. So they did score a pick six. And I forgot to mention that Raiders had a safety. Yeah, they had a safety, which was Jacoby Brissett to Waddle, and Waddle was tackled for -1 yard.
So there we go. So that makes
So
sense,
that's
right? There you go.
he didn't have hardly any yardage.
All right. There we
Yeah,
go.
so that defense did have a safety.
You should be an investigator because you figured that one out.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, then as I mentioned, the ending of this game was crazy. Raiders, man, keep it up.
Yep. Let's
Miami,
go Raiders.
You want to see Tua back because it changes the whole offense.
Well, shout out to Malcolm out there.
Yeah, our Uncle Malcolm.
Yep. And all the other Raider fans. We know a lot of them, but
yeah,
shout out to Malcolm. Always loving his the IG post when the Raiders win.
Yeah. And we mentioned Miami, so they take on the Colts next week. And then the Raiders Monday night will be playing against the Chargers. So that's going to be a really good game.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and now take a look at, we only got like 4 games left. All right. So let's go ahead and look at the next game here. And one of those teams is the Chargers, who defeated the Kansas City Chiefs 30-24. And the Chargers move on to 2-1, and the Chiefs are now 1-2. Wow. And the Chiefs losing 2 in a row. Is it 2 in a row? Or did they lose week 1?
No.
I'm not sure. I don't remember. But yeah, we could go ahead and get into the game. Actually, now that
Okay, so the Chiefs lost 2 in a row.
Yeah. And who did they lose to last week?
Baltimore.
Oh, yeah, that was a crazy game. Yeah. Jesus. Okay, Justin Herbert, welcome back. You and Josh Allen came and showed why you guys were worth that draft capital.
Yeah.
So Justin Herbert went 26 for 38, had 281 yards and 4 touchdowns, and as well as 16 yards on the ground. Man, 4 touchdowns, no picks. And I seen a few people mention, this Chiefs defense.
Mm-hmm.
This defense needs help. They should be calling some people.
Mm-hmm.
We know that they went and picked up their receiver.
Flash Gordon.
Josh Gordon, he's back. He's with the practice squad, but he may move his way up. But yeah, this Chargers offense really exposed a lot of things on the Chiefs defense. Eckler ran 11 for 55. No guy really came next to the carry totals. Roundtree had 4 carries, only went for 3 yards. But really, where they did their damage was through the air. Keenan Allen had 12 targets, caught 8 for 50 and a touchdown. And this guy, he just keeps jumping out at us every week. Mike Williams, 9 targets, caught 7 for 122 and 2 touchdowns. Thankfully, I was able to scoop him up in one of my leagues.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And Eckler is kind of showing, he should be an every week starter as well. He had 6 targets, caught all 6 for 52 and a touchdown to go along with his 11 carries and 55. Yeah, Eckler had a great fantasy day. Keenan had a great fantasy day. Mike Williams had a great fantasy day and is also the quarterback. Now, Jared Cook only had 3 targets, caught 2 for 27. Yeah. What do you think about this Chargers offense to do what they did?
I think they're just scary. Justin Herbert is he's probably one of the best young quarterbacks out there, if not the best young quarterback out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fact that you mentioned Mike Williams is balling.
Yeah.
And they already have Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler. So the offense is looking scary.
Yeah. And then we look at this defense to be able to make Mahomes only put up 24 points. That's really good. Now, Alohi Gilman had a pick, and then this rookie, man, he keeps popping up every week, Asante Samuel Jr.
Yeah.
Man, he's looking like a really good pickup there. And as a team, they had 2 sacks on Mahomes. Kazir White had 1, and then Tranquil and Joey Bosa split a sack as well. Man.
So just going back to the defense, week 1, they allowed 16 points. Week 2, 20. to the Cowboys, who just put up a lot of points. And then now this week, 24. So, yeah, Chargers defense, they're holding teams to low scoring points.
Yeah, they're doing really good. 2-1. Now their kicker, Vizcaino, he went 1 for 1. It was only a 24-yarder, but he missed 2 of his extra points. So yeah,
see it.
Yeah, he's not going to help you too much. You may want to avoid him. But let's go ahead. We'll look at the Chiefs side of things now. So Patrick Mahomes went 27 for 44, and I think the past 2 weeks we've kind of seen Patrick Mahomes come down to earth a bit. Now he did throw 3 touchdowns in this game, and not to mention we did see Clyde Edwards-Helaire finally have a good game. But Patrick Mahomes to go for 260, only 27 of 44, man, that's tough. 260, he threw 3 touchdowns, but he also threw 2 picks. And he added 45 yards on the ground. So he's still a safe fantasy play as usual, but I'm just saying Patrick Mahomes usually don't see him lose like this. Only 27 for 44. Usually he's much more accurate, much more on it.
Yeah.
Now, as we mentioned, Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 17 carries for 100 yards, and also through the air, he had a touchdown, 2 for 9 and a touchdown. So you think this is more of what we should expect from Edwards-Helaire, or is this just an outlier?
No, I think Edwards-Helaire, he had another fumble loss. Didn't he fumble last week as well? Crucial fumble.
Yep.
So I don't think Andy Reid is going to like that very much.
Yeah, maybe that's what put him in the hospital. After
yeah. Yeah. We hope you're all right, Andy Reid.
Yeah, Andy Reid.
But for Helaire, yeah, man, these fumbles got to stop, or else, the coaches don't like that stuff.
Yeah.
Especially when you're losing games. You lost last week now, and you lost this week, and your fumbles are costing your team.
Yeah.
Yeah, expect to. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of what is his name, Williams, Darrell Williams next week.
Darrell Williams.
Against who are they playing here? Philadelphia. So
yeah, well, they should do fine, hopefully.
Yeah.
Now Tyreek had a rush for 11 yards as well, and Tyreek, they try to get him the ball a lot more. He had 7 targets, went 556. There's another guy. So Tyreek, Diggs, and Hopkins.
Yeah,
they're kind of struggling this season.
It makes you wonder, is it that the fact that defenses are designing to eliminate them in these games? And if that's the case, is that why they're bringing Josh Gordon in? Because you would think just with this offense that Mahomes doesn't need any more help. They already got Kelsey, Hill, Hardman, and Mahomes makes those guys better. So the fact that now that they want to bring in Josh Gordon, it makes you wonder what's going on the offense.
Yeah, they got some questions here. But as you mentioned, Kelsey had 11 targets, caught 7 for 104. Kelsey doing Kelsey-like things. Hardman had a touchdown. He caught 3 for 33 and a touchdown. Edwards-Helaire, as we mentioned, caught a touchdown, went 2 for 9. And Jody Fortson caught 2 for 7 in a touchdown. So, I mean, he's getting those touchdowns to other people, but you want to see, your go-tos getting those touchdowns. Now, we got to mention Tyreek did also lose a fumble.
Yeah.
So, man, just a tough week for this Kansas City Chiefs, and you got to give credit to those Chargers defense again.
Yeah.
Man, that rookie, Asante Samuel Jr., man, possibly defensive rookie of the year so far. And I know you don't like to hear that.
I don't want to hear that, man.
Yeah,
Micah Parsons. That guy is just beast. He's a linebacker playing D-line. That's just insane.
Yeah. Now Chiefs defense had 1 sack, no picks, of course. And their kicker, Butker, went 1 for 1, and that was a 34-yarder, and he went 3 for 3 as far as extra points. So Butker, I don't know about him because we do know Mahomes wants touchdowns.
Yeah.
Not kicks.
And then they go for it a lot on 4th downs as well.
Yeah. So that was a surprising game. I'm sure everybody expected Chargers to lose that one. And then you mentioned Chiefs play the Eagles this upcoming week, so definitely a get back right game. They could probably put the Hurts on Hurts.
Yeah.
And then and Zach Ertz. And then the Chargers Monday night against the Raiders. So that should be a good one as well. All right. So let's go ahead and go into our next game now. So the Bengals went up against the Steelers, and the Bengals defeat the Steelers 24-10.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Is that a typo?
Nope. Bengals are now 2-1, and the Steelers are now 1-2. And I agree. What is going on with Pittsburgh? Yeah, you don't see this very often. This one I had an eye on because I was interested. I had players going in both games. And, we mentioned Ben Roethlisberger, if he could start connecting with, who was it, Claypool? And this game, Claypool, 15 targets, 9 for 96, 10 points. That whole offense, the entire offense, just 10 points.
What is happening?
Yeah. Hate to say it, Roethlisberger.
So is it a big bum?
It might be big bum. Yeah. He went 38 of 58. 58 pass attempts is crazy. For 318, a touchdown, and 2 picks. Najee Harris, again, they couldn't even run the ball. He carried the ball 14 times for only 40 yards.
Wow.
And no other running back had another carry. But Najee did save his day because he had 19 targets.
14 catches.
14 catches for 102.
That's amazing.
That's just kind of telling me that Roethlisberger is much more comfortable now checking down. And you know who I saw this from last year was Drew Brees.
Yeah.
Drew Brees did that a lot, but that also was a sign, and we saw it in the playoffs, that his arm was pretty much gone.
I see what you're saying here. So
Big Ben,
Big Ben can't get it down the field no more.
Possibly not. Yeah, he might not be able to get it up anymore.
Wait, what? Oh man.
But yeah, sorry, Big Ben. You can't get the ball up like he used to. Man. Sorry about that,
bro.
But yeah, Najee had 19 targets, 14 for 102. Chase Claypool finally had a good game, 9 for 96. The rest of them were just pedestrian. I mean, Freiermuth had the touchdown, but he only caught 3 for 22 in that touchdown. Juju got hurt this game, and we know Deontay Johnson was out as well. And Deontay's usually his go-to guy.
Yeah.
So I mean, that could have something to do with it, but now it's like every week somebody's injured, something's going wrong. And to also allow this from the Bengals, because Pittsburgh's defense usually very good. I mean, they had a pick, but I believe Watt was out this game. TJ Watt. What do you think about the Pittsburgh rest of the season?
I'd be worried.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, the most thing that sticked out to me is these injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Deontay Johnson, TJ Watt, Schuster got injured.
Mm-hmm.
Big Ben is bound to get injured. Can we all just agree? I mean, he's taken a beating. I think at the few times I watched the game, he was like on the floor a couple times.
Yeah.
So I'd be really concerned if I'm a Steelers fan. Yeah, I mean, I don't know who their backup is to Big Ben, but maybe they just need a different spark, a different leader at this point.
Yeah, if you got Ben, you might be wanting. I mean, you probably already are looking for another replacement option. And I have this Pittsburgh defense. Now, I do think when TJ Watt gets back, they should be fine. It's just these injuries. It's just this Pittsburgh offense is what scares me.
So is that more so on Ben Roethlisberger, or is it coaching? So I don't watch enough of the Steelers to see, but this is just from looking at a box score. This is not what we're accustomed to with the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
We normally see high points, low points because of their defense on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that Bengals scored 24 on them, and then so then they only put up 10. That's not what I'm used to is from an outside viewer for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So is it on coaching? I mean, Stewart might know more than us. Shout out to Stu.
Our buddy Stewart.
He might know. Maybe he could call in one of these days and join us right here and tell us what your thoughts are, with your Steelers. What's going on?
The Steelers fans that I know, everybody's saying they're tired of Ben. Even in the draft, when they didn't draft a quarterback, they're saying, what are we doing? We keep making mistakes by not going quarterback.
Okay. So,
yeah, they've been pretty much over him. Terrell Edmonds had an interception. As I mentioned, they had no sacks, so they do definitely need TJ Watt back. Their kicker Boswell went 1 for 2, and he made the 1 extra point. So he's not going to be helping you, especially this offense isn't moving. Now let's go ahead and look at the other side. So Joe Burrow, he went 14 for 18 for 172, 3 touchdowns and a pick. So they didn't need to do much, but they did it. And it's possibly because of this guy, Joe Mixon, 18 carries, 90 yards, and we talked about him last week.
Yeah.
Joe Mixon is doing great things, but Joe Burrow, those are pretty good. Other than that pick, that's pretty good box score there.
Yeah.
And also he went to his rookie receiver, his old teammate Jamar Chase. 5 targets, caught 4 for 65 and 2 touchdowns. And Tyler Boyd also had 6 targets, 4 for 36 and a touchdown. But as we mentioned, they didn't have to do too much this week. But those 3 guys were playable. Jamar Chase is proven to be a really good rookie receiver. I think he was saying that these footballs in the NFL are harder to catch. And remember that in the preseason?
Yep.
He might have been saying that to throw everybody off. Like, oh, don't worry. Let the ball come to me. I'm not going to catch it.
Yep.
Yeah. He's balling out.
Yeah, he's balling right now.
Yeah. One of their receivers was out this week.
Higgins?
T. Higgins?
Yeah.
He was out.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at this box score, right, alone, looking at him like, man, how come it didn't seem like they had enough stats there? Well, when I scrolled down and look at the time of possession, I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Pittsburgh had the ball 11 more minutes than they did.
Wow. So that Cincinnati defense definitely did their job.
Wow.
Yeah. And with that, Logan Wilson had 2 picks. So that probably helped, field positioning, the field position battle. And as you mentioned, Big Ben did take 4 sacks. So one from Sam Hubbard, one from BJ Hill, one from Cameron Sample, and one from Trey Hendrickson, sorry. And then their kicker didn't have to do much. He went 1 for 1 and field goal, which was a 43-yarder, and he also made 3 extra points. So yeah, this game, it was 7-7 at one point in the second quarter, but after that, it was pretty much over. Yeah.
Another thing I'm looking at that's interesting, first downs for the whole game, Bengals only had 12.
Man.
To the Steelers, 21.
Gotta give credit to the Bengals defense. That's what that's telling me.
Man.
Yeah.
So fantasy-wise, go take a look at Cincinnati and see how they're doing.
Yeah. And if you're a Bengals fan, that's kind of excites you, because if your defense, you haven't seen a Bengals defense do this for a long time.
It's been a while.
Yeah, so if you see your defense doing this, it makes you very happy. However, next week the Bengals do take on. Oh, sorry. Well, we'll talk about the Steelers. Steelers take on the Packers.
Bengals played Jacksonville.
Oh, well, yeah. If you're a Bengals,
fire them up.
Yeah, if you're a Bengals fan, you're very excited. I might have to go check if they're available.
Stream them.
All right, let's go ahead now and let's get into the next game. Let's talk about the guy who said the NFL's kind of slow. The Chicago Bears 6 to the Cleveland Browns 26. The Bears fall to 1-2. The Browns are now 2-1. Wow, this game, I told you I wanted to see how this week would go with Fields because I had Montgomery.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, was I correct. Man.
Yep.
9 sacks on Fields. Now, I did see a couple of things where they're blaming the coach. He didn't do nothing to help him. No draws, no reads, no bringing extra pass protection. Did you see anything in this game?
I didn't see the game. Just that comment alone, though, what Fields had said. This is where, there's some things when you draft guys, franchise quarterbacks, is because they have things that you can't coach.
Yeah.
Right? They have these flashes where, you can't coach that. Where Fields? Where are you at? The whole game. Like, it's not like you didn't have enough opportunities. You were the starter. You played 4 quarters. There was nobody behind you. So no other quarterback came in. You could blame the coach that didn't put you in position. But even Trevor Lawrence, as bad as his coach is, has showed flashes.
Yeah.
So Justin Fields, man, I don't know what's going on. But you like to be laying on the field more than you do standing upright. So
yeah, we'll mention it. Myles Garrett before the game said, "Hey, I need help rushing because they're chipping me every play." They didn't chip him once this game. He got franchise record 4.5 sacks this game.
That's insane.
So Myles Garrett, man, kudos to you. But if you're also on the line with Myles Garrett and he's getting doubled or chipped, you better be doing your job and getting in there. So we'll get into the Brown side of things first. So Baker Mayfield went 19 for 31, 246 yards and a touchdown. He also had 4 rushes for 31 yards. We mentioned Nick Chubb. He's a great running back, but he rushed 22 times for 84 yards. But again, they were just trying to kill clock most of this game.
Yeah.
And then Kareem Hunt, man, he's a really good running back now. If he didn't ever have that situation, imagine him still with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I said last week, if you have Chubb, go try to go get Hunt and now it might be too late. But I'm telling you, I had Chubb last year and Kareem Hunt was just frustrating because a lot of the weeks, depending on the week, Hunt would be the one balling and Chubb would not. So if there's a way for you to go trade for Hunt and have Chubb, just run those 2 guys out at the same time.
Yeah, Chubb, as we mentioned, 84 yards on the ground, no touchdowns. Hunt, 10 carries for 81 yards and a touchdown, and as well as 7 targets, caught 6 of them for 74 yards. So Kareem Hunt definitely had a really good, effective game. So Odell Beckham was back this week. What'd you think of him?
He looked good.
Yeah, 9 targets.
Isn't he coming back from like a knee injury, right?
Yeah, he's been out a while. And
yeah, like a serious injury. So the fact that he came in, had 9 targets right away.
Yep. They gave him a rushing play. Yeah, he looked really good. If you're an Odell Beckham Jr. owner, you're pretty happy. You want to see more of the same. But we'll see until Landry gets back.
Yeah.
See if because remember when both of them were in at the same time last year, seemed like he was force feeding the ball to Beckham, but
that's true.
Naturally, he likes to go to Jarvis. But no, Landry looked good this game. But again, this game was out of hand from the beginning. But yeah, Beckham did have 9 targets, caught 5 for 77. We mentioned Hunt. He had 74 yards receiving as well. Austin Hooper, he only had 3 targets, but one of them was a touchdown, 19 yards, 2 receptions, 19 yards. He's been getting it done. But he does have Donovan Peoples-Jones. I think last week he may have no, it wasn't him, but and then Higgins also caught 2 for 24. Again, they didn't need to do much. And if you're not Landry or Beckham, or Hunt or Chubb, I'm kind of staying away from the tight end.
Yeah, there ain't no tight end there for Cleveland.
Yeah. Well, Hooper's been doing well, but
didn't they have Njoku or something like that?
Yeah, David Njoku.
Something like that, right?
He's still with them, but yeah, no, I think he might be gone now from there. But I mean, we got to talk about it. It was this defense. It was the Cleveland defensive day. I'm surprised Chicago even put up 6 points, which were both field goals. But yeah, this defense, Myles Garrett, 4.5 sacks. It's just nuts. Clowney also had 2 sacks. Ronnie Harrison had a sack, and Malik Jackson and Owusu also shared a sack. Even Tack McKinley got in on there. Man, Justin Fields.
Yeah.
If you have him, and then maybe in a keeper league, you're gonna let him ride the bench until he shows what he's there for. But for now, keep him on the bench.
Yep.
Now their kicker, so that the highest scoring kicker in our league was Chase McLaughlin. He went 4 for 4. His longest was a 57-yarder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he made both his extra points. So Chase McLaughlin, really good kicker. So if he's out there, maybe give him a look. But let's go ahead now. Let's talk about Bears offense. Not much to talk about. Justin Fields went 6 for 20, 68 yards passing, no touchdowns, no interceptions. He had only 3 carries for 12 yards. Well, what do you think about Justin Fields? I think you already mentioned, right?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Just from what he's shown us so far, it's not much to go off of. So
yeah,
it's not good so far. So, but that's the thing. It's always the first impression. First impression is a lot.
And like we also said, the coach didn't do no favors. Nagley, he may be on the hot seat if they keep losing.
Yeah.
He may not.
I mean, okay. So the thing is, right? You drafted your franchise quarterback. He's supposed to be the future. Everybody's excited. Now, when he's not panning out, there's going to be a fall guy. And
You
It's
just
gonna-
drafted Fields.
You can't as an ownership for sales, entertainment business, you can't be like, oh, we messed up. It's Fields. No. Nagy's gonna have to take the fall. He knows it. So he's gonna have to start getting on the same page with Fields so they
Yeah.
could both start looking good if he wants to keep his job.
You know,
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
he already came out and said they don't know who the starter for next.
Okay, so that's thank you. I'm glad you
That's-
mentioned that because now if I'm Nagy, Fields is looking so bad that it's making him look bad. Now it's like, hey man, we don't know who the starter is. Like he's trying to keep his job, and I don't blame him. If I was Nagy right now, I'm like, hey man, let's put a competition right now. Week 4, let's go. Who wants it? So
Now Andy Dalton did look good before he went down,
mhm.
so I try to get Andy Dalton back out there. Fields, I'm gonna still want to ride the bench and just to learn, but he didn't do him no favors like we mentioned.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't bring him extra blockers. They didn't chip Myles Garrett. So yeah. David Montgomery had 10 carries for 34 yards as well as 4 targets, which turned into 2 receptions, 21 yards. So he's still involved pretty heavily,
Mhm.
but the problem is that offense could not do anything.
Yeah.
So again, as a Montgomery owner, I'm gonna keep him on the bench until I see more from this Bears offense. And if Fields still quarterback, I'm keeping him benched. If Dalton's back in, I'll play him, no problem. But for now, he's on the bench. So Allen Robinson finally had a good amount of targets. He had 6 targets and he caught 2 for 27. Other than that, there's not much to mention. Nobody else had more than 21 or 11 yards receiving. My goodness, only 6 passes completed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's
Jesus.
That's not a good look, bro. Yeah. Like we could go and blame Nagy and all that, but you gotta have some more pride, Justin Fields.
Yeah, this has got to be record breaking for all the wrong reasons. But on the Chicago defensive side, so Khalil Mack had 2 sacks, Mario Edwards had a sack, Robert Quinn had 1.5, and Angelo Blackson also had a half a sack. So I mean, Bears defense still looks good despite that. But man, it's tough. And then, like we mentioned, the kicker, Cairo Santo, he's the only one who put up points. He had 2 field goals for 47. Longest was a 47-yarder. But Chicago next week and Cleveland. So Cleveland will be taking on the Vikings next week. Chicago will be taking on the Lions.
Division game.
Yeah.
Be tough for both of them.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. All right, let's go now into, I can't believe I missed so many games here. Let's go now into the Ravens, who defeated the Lions 19-17. So now we got a play to talk about.
Yep.
So, but that moves the Ravens to 2-1, and the Lions are now 0-3.
All right. So before we go into the stats, I want to just say last week, you know, I was talking about the culture that Dan Campbell could bring to the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
So I was watching the end of this game, and I was like, man, that's that culture I'm talking about. Look at these Lions.
With the lead.
Yeah, with the lead
Ravens.
playing so well against the. Some might have the Ravens in their Super Bowl predictions.
Yeah.
And it looked like they were going to win.
Just defeated the Chiefs.
Yeah. So if you're Lions, you're like, yeah, man, wow, feeling really good about yourselves. Lamar gets the ball. They get it down to, I don't even, midfield, if that. Like,
oh,
so then we all know how it ended. We all heard about it. Just in time Tucker, because he's always comes just in time when they need him.
Yeah.
66, right, for the record.
Yeah.
Hit the crossbar.
Bounced in.
Bounced in. I thought when it hit the crossbar, I thought it was gonna go out.
Man.
And I was gonna come here today and be like, hey, that's that culture I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
With Dan Campbell with the Lions. They lost.
Mm-hmm.
So do you believe in moral victories if you're a Lions fan? Is that a thing?
If I'm a Lions fan, I liked what I saw. It's a heartbreaking loss, but at the same time, even the Lions side of, you know, when you looked at the players after that kick, they were pissed.
Yeah.
They couldn't, well, first of all, they couldn't believe he made it.
Yeah.
But also, you like to see that they're pissed that they lost.
That they hate losing.
Yeah, that is really comforting to see. They're 0-3, but remember, it's a 17-week long season. So I think they want to fight. They want to win. So I think we saw some good things. Let's jump into it. So we'll start with the Lions side of the things. So Jared Goff, he went 22 for 30 for 217 yards, no interceptions, no touchdowns. That's somewhat of an accurate day.
Yeah.
Jared Goff.
Yeah.
He didn't get no touchdowns. So I mean, if you ran him in fantasy, he didn't do much for you, but he didn't throw no picks. He didn't put you in a. I mean, he set you up in a winning position.
Yeah.
It was on that defense to stop him. Now rushing, DeAndre Swift had 14 carries for 47 and a touchdown, and Jamal Williams had 12 carries for 42 and a touchdown. Swift also had 7 targets, caught all 7 for 60 yards. Jamal Williams had 2 targets, caught 2 for 25. I remember seeing the Jamal Williams touchdown, and he lost his helmet, and then just his energy, his fire after he scored it.
Mm-hmm.
Jamal Williams, I like him. He's a good player, man. He plays hard.
Yeah, he has a lot to prove. I feel like there's a chip after, Green Bay let him walk.
Yeah. Now, am I confident starting him fantasy? No. Swift, you are more confident starting him, especially with 7 targets.
Yeah.
But yeah, that almost split timeshare in the backfield. That's kind of tough. As far as the receiver side, so Khalif Raymond had 10 targets, the most. He led the team in targets. He has 6 receptions for 68 yards. We mentioned Swift already, and Darren Fowles had 3 targets for 35 yards. TJ Hawkinson finally had a down game. He had 2 targets for 10 yards. And we didn't mention, Quinton Cephas only had 1 target for 8 yards. So
yeah, and we talked about that last week with Cephas. We said, hey, let's see it again.
Yeah.
See it to believe it. And yeah, I'm glad, I didn't pick him up because I was like, nah, man, I'm not ready yet. Not sold on the Cephas guy.
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as these receivers, it's hard to trust any of them yet. Hawkinson was the guy. I mean, if you own him, you're going to keep starting him, especially the way the season started. But, man, I guess, Baltimore's defense ain't no slouches either. So,
yeah.
They did have an interception, that defense, and we talked about it. This defense, Detroit, they played a fairly good defensive game.
Yeah, they did.
Especially against Lamar Jackson, the MVP, ex-MVP. They had an interception. Oruwariye had a pick. Alex Anzalone had a sack. Akwara had a sack. Charles Harris had a sack. Austin Bryant had a sack, so 4 sacks. So their defense played pretty well, I mean, surprisingly. And next week they take on Chicago. So you may actually want to play Detroit defense next week.
Yeah.
Might be worth it.
Yeah, Chicago today don't even know who's starting that game for quarterback. So
I mean, if it's Fields, let me reword that. If it's Fields, you're gonna want to start Detroit.
And it could be Foles. So maybe if it's Foles, you might not want to. I mean, do you think Nick Foles is a good quarterback?
I mean,
Super Bowl winner, right?
I would want to see Detroit string it together more. They definitely were competitive this game, but I mean, this loss may take their sales. It may affect their confidence. So we'll see how next week goes. Their kicker Ryan Santoso had a one for one, a 35-yarder, and he had 2 extra points as well. But let's go ahead and look at the Ravens side of things, and we'll try to explain what happened. Lamar Jackson only went 16 for 31 for 287 yards, a touchdown and a pick. He had 7 rushes for 58 yards. We usually see much more higher numbers for Lamar.
Yeah.
I guess maybe they were ready. I mean, he still had quite a lot of rushing yards. Yeah, just Detroit, I guess, as far as the passing defense, did really well.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Latavius Murray had 7 carries for 28 yards. Tyson Williams had 5 for 22. And I remember last week we did mention we're trying to avoid the Baltimore. We said Tyson looked really good, but for some reason, this game wasn't the greatest for them. Tyson only had 1 target, where last week he had a lot more. He didn't even get to catch anything, Tyson.
Yep.
But Mark Andrews, welcome back. 7 targets, caught 5 for 109.
Yeah, it was just a matter of time for him. I mean, they paid him, so he better show up.
Week to week, you see things from Lamar Jackson that's encouraging, and then you see things sometimes even in the same week that are discouraging. Even here, the fact he's now hooking back up with Mark Andrews is got to be encouraging. But now he's missing Marquise Brown. Last week, I think he connected with Marquise Brown quite a bit, but this time he had 7 targets, but he only caught 3 for 53.
Yeah.
So he's missing I guess, look, the best thing to say about Lamar is he's an amazing runner, but his arm is somewhat inconsistent. All right, and then the defense. I mean, they held Detroit to 17, and they had 2 sacks. Tavon Young had a sack, and Chuck Clark had a sack. So now let's get into it. As you mentioned, Detroit had the lead 16-17 at near the end of the game. Baltimore goes down, only gets to about half the field. The Detroit defense feels like they did their job.
Yeah, they did.
And then Justin Tucker.
Man.
66-yard field goal.
Crazy.
I was joking on a group chat that I think maybe I kind of want to start a new fantasy scoring for field goal kickers. Well, pretty much for Justin Tucker for 60+ yard field goals.
Yeah.
And we'll give him like 10 extra points.
Well, in my league, 50 yards, because they don't give you the option to go 60, but 50-yard field goals in my league is worth 7. Because to me, 50-yarders are hard these days. You see kickers missing extra points every week, like automatically. So
yeah,
they got to be worth 7 points, 50 yards and over.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, Lions take on Bears, and the Ravens will be taking on the Broncos. Yeah, so we'll see how that turns out. That was Ravens came out with the win as we all expected, and they did. So kudos for them. Let's take a look now at the Saints, who won against the Patriots 28-13. Saints moved to 2-1, and the Patriots are now 1-2. This one was surprising. What the Patriots did to the Jets last week, I thought they would have did much better defensively against the Saints, especially the way the Saints had just played. But Jameis Winston got it done.
Yeah, barely.
Yeah, barely.
Just looking at his stats, it's like, what?
Yeah, how did this happen, right?
13 completions only the whole game.
But the Saints defense is just great. I mean, yeah, they are. Last week, I think they kind of were just maybe not as motivated because they were getting whipped so bad. But this week, they did the job. I mean, they made Mac Jones throw 3 picks.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Mac Jones, 30 for 51, 270 yards, a touchdown, and 3 picks. Yeah, so Mac Jones, he also added 6 carries for 28 yards. But that running, they could not get nothing going on the ground. Damian Harris had 6 carries for 14 yards, and James White got injured, and they said he's going to be out for a while. So if you have a chance, go pick up Damian Harris. But at the same time, I mean, they didn't do much on the ground, but the guy to go with is Damian Harris back here. Now, Kendrick Bourne did have 8 targets, and he caught 6 receptions for 96 yards and a touchdown. And Jacoby Myers, you know what? He keeps showing up every week in the stats. He had 14 targets, caught 9 for 94. So Jacoby Myers might be a guy to look at. But also, finally, you did see kind of one of the tight ends breaking out more than the others. So Hunter Henry had 6 targets. He caught 5 for 36. Whereas Jonnu Smith also had 6 targets, but he only caught 1 for 4. Yeah, it seems like other than that 1 week they beat the Jets, they're going to be playing from behind a lot. So they're going to be peppering guys with targets. But Mac Jones just ain't that good yet, you know?
Yeah.
Now that their defense did have 3 sacks, Matt Judon had 2.5, and Dietrich Wise had half a sack. So, but we can go ahead now and look at the surprising Saints offense, who, didn't need to do much, but Jameis Winston went 13 for 21, and he for 128 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no picks. Surprisingly, he didn't throw a pick because I seen a couple of highlights where he was like not looking good at all.
Mm-hmm.
Kamara did, finally got back to action. He had 24 carries for 89 yards, and also 3 catches for 29 yards and a touchdown. So it's good to see for Kamara. And Taysom Hill, we mentioned it last week.
Yep.
As bad as Winston was playing, we would see more Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
We did this week. So he had 6 carries for 32 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, I think we should expect more of that going forward from here on out.
Yeah. Now, Winston did throw the 2 touchdowns. So one went to Marquez Callaway, who had 5 targets. He caught 4 for 41 in a touchdown, and then Kamara caught the other. Other than that, you didn't see much on the offense. Deontay Harris went 3 for 31. Kenny Stills had 1 catch for 17. But again, they didn't need to do much because their defense was just controlling that game. They had 3 interceptions. Marshawn Lattimore had 1, P.J. Williams had 1, and Malcolm Jenkins had 1. And maybe I'll get to it one day, but in the playoffs last week when the Bucks played the Saints, Saints defense is pretty dirty. I got a video to prove it, and nobody ever talked about it. But man, you know what? Maybe I can show it now. Let me try to pull up the video, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Yeah, so check it out. Nobody ever talks about this player. Okay, guys, look how dirty the Saints defense. Watch him punch his knee, and he does it like as the tackle happens, so it's hard to call. Watch it. You see him punch him?
Yeah.
Let's watch that again. I don't have slow motion, sadly.
Saints defense, 93. Yeah.
Legit punched his knee.
See that? Try to break it.
Come on. Should only touch your wife like that, bro. Yeah, so that's kind of why I'm not too big of a fan of the Saints. We're all, that's our division rivals. They've been owning the division for so many past years. Yeah, they're also somewhat dirty, man. So not a big fan of them. So hoping we can continue to beat them and own them. But again, they did win 28-13. Saints this upcoming week will be taking on the Giants. So I'm hoping Giants pull that one out, and I know you don't want that for Dallas. And then the Patriots will be taking on the Buccaneers Sunday night. So looking forward to that one. All right, so only 4 games left. So now we'll check out the Seahawks, who lost to the Minnesota Vikings 17-30. Seahawks fall to 1-2, and the Vikings improved to 1-2. So this one was somewhat surprising. Minnesota defense actually did a pretty good job against Russell Wilson, who's been having a great season so far. Now, Russell Wilson went for 23 of 32, 298 yards and a touchdown with no picks. He also added 7 yards through the ground. Chris Carson had 12 carries for 80 yards and a touchdown, so he did really good. DK Metcalf, welcome to the show. 9 targets, 6 receptions for 107 yards and a touchdown. Gerald Everett had 5 targets, 5 receptions for 54 yards. Travis Homer, 3 targets, caught all 3 for 48. Tyler Lockett had 4 targets. He caught all 4 for 31 yards, but we didn't see that deep bomb. So as far as this offense, they couldn't do the deep bomb to Tyler Lockett, but then again, it seems like they didn't go to it. What do you think about the Seahawks offense this past week?
Yeah, a little let down. Even just all the experts were predicting a high-scoring game. So was I, and I'm no expert. What do I know? But we expected a lot more from Lockett, Russell Wilson, because he's not ill, son, but he's better. Yeah. So
no, he's ill, son.
Oh yeah, he is ill, son. So we did expect more fireworks from Seattle. I think we're accustomed to that. Yeah, we didn't get it here. So I'm not going to panic. It's still way too early in the season. If this was happening mid-season or towards the end, I'd be worried, but still way too much time left.
The thing that worries me is the Seahawks defense. You'd expect a lot more, letting go of 30. But then again, I have to say, Kirk Cousins is actually playing lights out so far.
Yeah, and I'm glad I have him because Captain Kirk is leading the way.
Yeah. Now, their kicker, Jason Myers, Seahawks kicker, went 1 for 2. Field goals, and he went 2 for 2 extra points, so he didn't miss a field goal. Now let's go ahead and take a look at that guy, Kirk Cousins. 30 for 38, 323 yards, and 3 touchdowns with no picks. So he had a great game. And also, we know Dalvin Cook was out this game, and Alexander Mattison had 26 carries for 112 yards. So he had a great game in replacement for Dalvin Cook. Now, Justin Jefferson had 11 targets, caught 9 for 118 and 1. And Tyler Conklin had 8 targets, caught 7 for 70 and a touchdown. Again, Alexander Mattison had 8 targets, caught 6 for 59 to go along with his 112 yards rushing. And Adam Thielen, as I mentioned, who I have, he had 9 targets, caught 6 for 50 and another touchdown. KJ Osborne, he didn't have as big as a game as he did the week prior. He only had 2 targets, caught both for 26. Man, it's good to see, if you're a Minnesota fan, it's good to see your offense this good. You just hope to see your defense step it up, and they actually did pretty well this week. Eric Kendricks had a sack. Everson Griffin had a sack. I mean, what do you think about the Vikings? As far as all season? You think they'll be a playoff team?
I'm trying to think who's in their division. They got Packers,
Lions.
Bears, Lions. Yeah, I think they could compete with the Packers right now.
If their defense steps it up and does more of what they did against the Seahawks, I think they definitely have a chance. Their kicker did really well. He went 3 for 3, longest being a 43-yarder, but also made all 3 extra points. Yeah, looks like Vikings, surprisingly pulled that one out. And Justin Jefferson, man, really good game. All right, so this next game we're going to go into, so we're going to take a look at the Packers. Oh, man, they defeated the 49. Oh, I'm sorry. Before we get into that, sorry to backtrack a little bit here. The Seahawks next week will be playing the 49ers.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Man, that's always a popcorn game to watch right there. Get the popcorn ready.
And the Minnesota Vikings will be taking on the Browns, the Cleveland Browns.
That's even going to be a good game.
Yeah, so we're going to see some definitely good games next week. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Packers who defeated the Saints the Packers who defeated the Niners 30-28 in a crazy ending of the game. And for this one, we have a special guest we'd like to call. So let's go ahead and give him a call now. And his name is Eric Erock. He's a Niner fan. So he's going to tell us what his thoughts on the game was.
Hello.
Erock, what up?
What's happening?
Hey, so we're checking out the Packers-Niners game. As we mentioned, the Packers defeated you guys 30-28. Both you guys now moved to 2-2. I wanted to ask you, so what'd you see this game? Anything stick out to you?
Well, we got a bad start in the beginning. That's what I seen.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people on the radio, I hear him talking this and that, but I think Jimmy G played a good game. I mean, he could have started off better, but I think he redeemed himself in the end.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are calling for all the way Trey, but and I think he's going to be dope one day, but it's not time yet.
Yeah.
I looked up all the stats of all the rookie quarterbacks and things like that.
Yeah, they're all struggling, right?
And it's not looking good for rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So I think the Niners are doing the right thing. Jimmy's not playing bad. He could be better, but that's who Jimmy is. And the thing is with the Niners in this game, our game's a run game.
Yeah, that's true.
And we completely left the run. It didn't work on a couple. Our running backs are injured. But still, even the fact, I was talking to someone the other day, and I was saying, our whole game plan is built on the run. Even if we don't gain yards, like on the run, our whole game, the play action pass, the motions, the things like that, our whole game's built around the run. Yeah. And it seems like Kyle Shanahan pulled away from the run too fast. I think we only ran it like 15 times or something. Yeah. I know they call the other ones runs where the wide receivers come around or they pitch it to them, like things like that's not really a run. I'm talking about a run, handoff to the back. I think we only ran 15 times.
Yeah, looks like it's 15 times. Yeah,
way too little bit. We got away from that way too much because then it didn't open up the other part of the game.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, the Niners started down 17-0. So that might have played part of that. But let's go ahead and jump into it. So Garoppolo went 25 for 40. Like you mentioned, he had the slow start. He went for 257 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. You guys are hurt at the running back position big time. You guys only really used 2 running backs this game, Trey Sermon and Kyle Shuzek, but really he's a fullback.
Yeah, Juszczyk.
Juszczyk. Thank you. So Trey Sermon had 10 carries for 31 yards and a touchdown. And Juszczyk had 5 carries for 14 yards, but he did have that receiving touchdown, which was a really good play at the end there. Since we're here, let's talk about it. So what do you think about the ending?
That's on Kyle. Again.
Kyle Shanahan.
His game management skills. he needs to get better. I don't know if you guys played the game back, but if you look at the last, I think 3 plays before they scored, they're taking the snaps at 13 seconds left on the play clock.
Oh yeah.
They're already across the 50. They're like around the 40, 30. Start running that play clock down. You got 2 timeouts left.
Mm-hmm.
You got to take that play clock all the way down to 1 and then hike the ball.
Yeah.
If they would have took 13 seconds off that one, there's 13 seconds right there. Another 13 seconds, that's 26 seconds. That would have left the Packers with less than 15 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, that's a
to
good
get on
point.
the field instead of leaving them 37 seconds.
Yeah, you give Aaron Rodgers 43 seconds. That's quite a lot of time for somebody like him.
Well, it's 37.
Oh,
Right.
sorry, yeah, 37. Yeah, 37.
And then, okay, 37 seconds. Then on the kickoff, and then you kick it into the end zone.
Yeah, you got to kick it like at the 1 or just before. Yeah.
You gotta either kick that ball heck of high in the air or squib kick it, something, just to get more time. That's what you're playing against. You're playing against the clock now.
Yeah.
So you do everything. Like I heard some people earlier this week talking about, oh, you should have went down at the 1 or the 2, and he shouldn't have went in. He got to be smarter. No, when you get the ball, you get to score a touchdown. You got to score.
Yeah.
But if you would have took those seconds down before the snap, instead of snapping it at 13 seconds, snap it at 1, and the next play as well. Like run that clock down. You had the timeout still. You could have used them if you needed them. It was Kyle Shanahan again. His game, he don't know how to finish. He don't know how to finish a game, so he's gonna have to get better at that.
Even a call back to the Super Bowl, right, with the Chiefs. Well, what do you think about George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk? Was that get back right games for them?
I think they try to use them more in this game.
Yeah.
So I know, like Niners, as the season goes on, like this is just after the past 3 years where they open up the playbook more.
Mm-hmm.
I know in the beginning, like their playbook, they simple plays and stuff, and as the season goes on, they start opening it up.
Yeah.
If they lose another game and it's a divisional game and stuff,
Oh yeah.
and then the following game after that, you're gonna see the playbook start opening. It's gonna be like, okay, now we can't save plays
Yeah.
till later on in the season. We gotta open it up now. So
Hey, I have to ask, when they gonna call you up to go play running back for them?
shoot, I've been trying to get there.
Oh man, yeah.
They should call Frank Gore up though.
Okay.
I think just having him there, even just his leadership, maybe he can't run like he used to. Well, I know he can't.
Yeah.
But just his leadership as running back and things like that, he's always good for 2 or 3 yards every carry.
Yeah.
He pulls forward every time. So I think he wants to be there, bring him in.
Yeah, and he could teach that running back room a thing or two about, avoiding injury.
Yeah, taking care of your body right, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the best at it. So I think he'll be.
Yeah. All right, E-Rock, we're going to jump into the stats of the game, and just wanted to get your view on how the game went. So who do you guys got next week?
I believe we have the Seahawks.
Ooh.
So it's going to be a battle again.
Oh, yeah, we mentioned that.
And the good thing is that the Seahawks offensive line not looking too good.
Yeah, we were surprised they lost this past week to the Vikings.
I think they lost back-to-back now.
Yeah.
So, but they do have that weapon quarterback. So,
Yeah.
and they have one receiver that Lockett.
Yeah, Lockett.
We're always going deep, and then that's the thing about Niners. We never have good cornerbacks. So, and especially now we got our best cornerback dropped in the first game, and then we lost another one. I think we lost 2 this game. So,
All right. So as a Niner
a
fan,
long season.
yeah, as a Niner fan, I gotta ask, other than interdivisional, who's your most disliked team?
Oh, for sure, the Cowboys.
Yeah.
They're the Cowboys because I got family members that just blow them up, and they haven't been to the playoffs since like 2016. I think they were in a wild card game or something. So that's
man. All right, cool. It was great talking to you. Maybe we'll get you on next week for your view of how the Seahawks game went.
All right, man. Talk to you later.
All right, bye. All right, so yeah, there you go. From a Niners fan perspective, you know, they like what they saw from Garoppolo, as he mentioned, and he's putting that loss on the coach, Shanahan. He said the time management at the end of the game wasn't what it should be, and again, he said they're a run first team. We know this, but a lot of their running backs were hurt, and they were playing from behind a lot of the time. But yeah, if he time managed the end a little bit better, they probably could have finished the game a lot better.
Hey, well, before we go on, I just want to touch on something Eric just said about his dislike team.
Oh, his most disliked team other than divisional?
He's not the only one.
Yeah.
That's not an insult to me being a Cowboy fan. The thing about the Cowboys is there's no in between. Unless you're Malcolm. Malcolm will show love, but you either love the Cowboys or you hate them. Now, the great thing about that for the Cowboys and Jerry Jones, you guys are just keeping them in the news constantly. Why? Because when you watch a sports topic, when Cowboys lose, guess what? You want to hear it. You want to hear them bash the Cowboys. So Jerry Jones keeps collecting off of your guys' hate for him.
Skip and Shannon.
You know? And then the views, TV ratings, Cowboys are always at the top every year. Why? Because they have such a big fan base. They have such a big following. And then their haters are such big followers. You guys will want to see the Cowboys fall. So, and that's just funny because the Cowboys ain't beating nobody since the 90s. So the fact that we still get so much hate from other fan bases, and they'll say it's the fans. And there is a lot of fans that are, how do you say,
respectful?
No, the bad Cowboy fans, the ones that Super Bowl, this is it, this is that year, you know,
unrealistic.
Yeah, so you get a lot of those fans, but you know it's funny to me as I got older. I don't hate on no teams, you know, even this past game. So just looking at the Packers Niners, I was rooting for the Niners. And so now to elaborate what Eric said, I thought he mentioned it perfect. Game management. Niners did everything they did to win the game.
Yeah.
37 seconds. How many quarterbacks in the league really, with no timeouts, 37 seconds left, are going to get you the win?
Just three guys.
Yeah. And Niners,
Mahomes, Rodgers.
Niners hang their hat on defense. They pride themselves on defense for the past few years. So you can't blame the Niners for losing this game. This one is more so kudos for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
He did it. 0 timeouts, 37 seconds. He got it done.
Yeah. And at the end of the game, you know, they were playing prevent defense, but they should have been playing shutdown defense.
Yeah.
Because all they needed was a field goal.
So another thing I like to mention, because I saw it, some Niner fans and other people are upset at the fact that Devontae Adams, because he got the two biggest catches to get them in field goal range.
Yeah.
They're saying that he should have been out of the game. Because if you watch the replay, when he got hit,
concussion,
he was out. Like, dude was looking to his eyes, watch the replay. Devontae Adams looked knocked out. So there's like protocols. Devontae Adams maybe shouldn't have even been.
Now he came out and said he hit his chest,
and that's where you go, and you know, other people said it wasn't helmet to helmet. All right, then. Well, he popped back up, but if it was helmet to helmet and it was concussion protocols, you know, players that miss multiple games when it comes to concussions, and the fact that Adams was able to pop up and put them in a position to win and hit the field goal. Yeah, it's almost like too. If I was a Niner fan, I'd be like, man, he shouldn't not have been out there. So,
yeah. So, you know, it was a tough loss for the Niners. Couldn't believe it. You know, Rodgers did that, but kudos to Rodgers. Let's go ahead and finish up the Niners side of the ball. So Debo still had the most targets with 10, caught 5 for 52. And as a Debo owner, I wanted more, but they definitely did use Brandon Ayuk a lot more. He had 6 targets, 4 for 37 and a touchdown. And even Sanu was used quite a lot. So 6 targets for him, 3 for 36. Kyle Juszczyk had one of the biggest touchdowns at the end to put them up, well, tie it, and then the extra point put them up. And then Kittle, you know, get back right game for him. So he had 9 targets, 7 receptions, 92 yards. So that was great to see. Garoppolo did have that lost fumble as well as that pick. You see good things from Garoppolo and then you see bad things, but he did have them in a position to win at the end.
So somebody asked me, because I'm not a Dak fan, Cowboys fan, I'm not a Dak fan. They said, would you rather have Jimmy G or Dak Prescott? To me, they're very similar. They both make bonehead plays at times. they're either going to win you a game or lose you a game.
Yeah.
And they both have that quality about them. So,
yeah. And Eric Armstead also had a sack at the end. Now let's go to the Packers side of the ball. So Aaron Rodgers went 23 for 33, 261 yards and 2 touchdowns. Aaron Jones had 19 carries for 82 yards and a touchdown, and AJ Dillon, the rookie, had 6 carries for 18 yards. And as you mentioned, Devontae Adams, 18 targets, 12 receptions, 132 yards and a touchdown. And some of those receptions at the end was some of the most clutchest receptions. Devontae is a baller.
all right, so let me just read this to you, okay, guys?
Sure.
I'm going to read something, all right? The Niners kicked the ball off, right? Crowd's going crazy. They got defense. They pride themselves. Bang, bang, Niner gang, right?
Bang, bang.
The Packers get the ball at the 25. 37 seconds left. All right. First and 10. Aaron Rodgers passed to Devontae Adams down the middle for 25-yard gain. Next play. Aaron Rodgers incomplete pass down the middle. Next play. Aaron Rodgers incomplete pass to the left intended for Devontae Adams. 3rd and 10. 16 seconds left. Aaron Rodgers passed to Devontae Adams to the left for a 17-yard gain.
Spike the ball.
4 seconds left. And then Niners tried to ice him, took a timeout. Mason Crosby kicked a 51-yard field goal. So just reading that alone, it was all going Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
He didn't look anywhere else except for Devontae Adams.
And that's what Eric had mentioned. He said, our corners, they gotta step it up.
So
yeah,
that's got to be a heartbreaking loss. Just the fact that they went up, and then Devontae Adams, the guy that should have not even been in that drive, was the only targeted receiver.
Yeah.
So
now
if you're a Packer fan,
you're ecstatic.
Oh, man.
You're happy. So after that horrible week 1 loss to the Saints, you have now 2 weeks in a row, 2 wins in a row, and Aaron Rodgers looking great. And especially against a really good Niners team who were 2-0 at that point. So
yeah.
if you're a Packers fan, you're really happy. Marcus Valdez-Scantling had 4 targets, caught 3 for 59 and 1. Alan Lazard had caught a long bomb for 42 yards. And I remember when that one happened, I was hoping Aaron Jones would get the touchdown, but sadly he didn't. But Aaron Jones wasn't used as much as last week, but he still had a good game. In that defense, Jair Alexander had a pick. And as a team, they had 3 sacks. And Preston Smith's the only one who had a full sack on his own. So, yeah, what a great game. The kicking, Mason Crosby also went 3 for 3 for 54 yards and 3 extra points. Now, as mentioned, Niners play Seahawks next week, and Packers play the Steelers, as mentioned. So that should be some good games. So now, let's get into it. It was a tough one. My Buccaneers, we lost to the Rams 24-34. Bucks fall to 2-1. Rams are now 3-0. As I said last week, Rams are a playoff team, but not only a playoff team, they look like a legit contender this year. Stafford balled out, 27 for 38, 343, and 4 touchdowns. Buccaneers defense, we could not stop him. Now they say, we had a few corners missing. I'll be honest, as a Buccaneer fan, our corners weren't that great last season either. It wasn't until the playoffs that we looked that good, but the game plans drawn up was really good. But yeah, as far as our secondary, I'm not too trusting in them, but Stafford definitely picked us apart. 4 touchdowns. Sony Michel took the bulk of the carries. He had 20 carries for 67 yards. We were able to somewhat stop that rush a bit, but we could not stop the pass. Cooper Kupp had 12 targets, caught 9 for 96 and 2 touchdowns. We could not stop him.
Man,
Deshaun Jackson had that long bomb. It's kind of a revenge game against us too. 5 targets, 3 for 120. And then he spread the ball out. Tyler Higbee had a touchdown, 5 for 40 touchdown. Robert Woods still isn't getting very much done. He had 6 targets, caught 3 for 33. If you're a Robert Woods owner, what are you doing?
yeah, you're panicking now after this point because Cooper Kupp just seems to be unstoppable.
Yeah.
And Matthew Stafford tends to have favorite targets, and it's Kupp. We're seeing that now with the Rams. It's Cooper Kupp. So if you're a Robert Woods owner, yeah, man, you could either wait or you don't want to drop him.
Yeah, depends how deep your league is, what are your options out there. How big your bench is.
Yeah.
So you may just want to sit on him. I mean, because Stafford is a really good quarterback. He's not looking his way yet.
Yeah.
Now that defense, Rams defense, they had 3 sacks on Brady. Aaron Donald had 1, Kenny Young had 1, and Leonard Floyd had 1. Yeah, they, and then of course we saw their corner doing Jalen Ramsey things. He had 8 tackles. So yeah, Jalen Ramsey, he's a baller. He's you think back to Deion Sanders, one of the greatest of all time. He didn't tackle, but Jalen Ramsey, he's a tackler. So I'm not comparing the two. I'm just saying. Matt Gay, another revenge guy. He went 2 for 2. His longest was a 48-yarder, and he made all 4 extra points. Now the Buccaneers side of the ball, Brady, he went 41 for 55 for 432, 1 touchdown. He also had a rushing touchdown and 0 picks. Now, one of those was a garbage time touchdown, the pass to Giovanni Bernard, who looked like he might have got hurt at the end of the game there. And we even had one of our corners get hurt this game. But yeah, as far as the run game, we could not get nothing going. On a combined, we went 10 rushes for 21 yards. It's roughly 2 yards a carry. That's rough. Yeah, Rams defense definitely stopped the run. I mean, Brady led the team in rushing. Just crazy. Now our receivers, Mike Evans had 10 targets, caught 8 for 106, which I'm glad to see. I hope he gets 1,000 yards, as mentioned. Gio Bernard had 10 targets, most of that at the end of the game. He caught 9 for 51 in that touchdown at the end. Hopefully he's okay. Chris Godwin had that rushing touchdown, but he even had 7 targets, went 6 for 74, and again had that rushing touchdown. So he did good for your fantasy. Rob Gronk, it looked like he got hurt almost the first catch of the game, but he still came back. He had 7 targets, caught 4 for 55. I'm still confident running Gronk out there as long as he's healthy.
Yep, same here.
Yeah. Cameron Brate, our other tight end, thrown to 5 times, caught 4 for 35. And our second-year receiver, Tyler Johnson, had 6 targets, caught 3 for 63. And I remember one of those to Tyler Johnson was on a big 3rd down, and we're trying to get the first down. But this Rams defense, it don't matter how far down you are on the depth chart, they do a really good job of stopping and making the big plays. And our defense, William Golston had the only sack on the day. So again, it's this Rams team. The O-line did very well. Their offense did very well. Their running game, did what they had to do, which wasn't very well, but enough. But they didn't have to. And that Rams defense did very well against the GOAT. So kudos to the Rams. Again, we mentioned that they will be taking on the Cardinals, and that's going to be a great game. And then our Buccaneers Sunday night against the Patriots.
Oh, Tom Brady gets to go home.
Oh, yeah. And start all Buccaneers, Bucks defense, do it all. All right, this is the last game on the schedule, week 3. So the Dallas Cowboys defeat the Philadelphia Eagles 41-21.
Yes, sir.
Cowboys are now 2-1. The Eagles are now 1-2. All right, take it away. What did you see?
All right. Coming into this game, it's a division rival. Cowboys versus Eagles. It's always going to be a good one. It's always going to be a show. But I got to say, I wasn't expecting the final score, 41-21. But 7 of those points were because of Dak Prescott fumbled in the end zone. So he even spotted the Eagles 7 points. But, man, what a blowout. And this is what you like to see. This is normally what the Cowboys don't do. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I'm not a fan of Dak is because, like I said last week, he plays down to the competition.
Yeah.
Well, I got to now eat my words and rewind because now we saw this week what the Chargers did to the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. So, Dak Prescott, I'm sorry. Please resubscribe. I know you unsubscribed when I said that, but please come back. All right. Okay, so the score, Dak was doing his thing. It was his first game back. It was an emotional game for him. He tore it up. He only had 5 incompletions the whole game, 3 touchdowns. Yeah, man. And then Zeke and Pollard in the backfield splitting the carries. It's kind of like Zeke comes and brings that like power.
Yeah.
And he wears down the defenders, and then Pollard comes in there and he's just like this burst of energy.
Yeah. Yeah, that running game looked great yesterday.
But the biggest thing I took from this game was Trayvon Diggs, Stefan's little brother.
Ooh, yep.
He has now 3 interceptions in the first
Trayvon.
3 weeks.
Ballin'.
And now he took one to the house, pick 6.
Mm-hmm.
So Cowboys defense, where is this coming from? You know, as a Cowboy fan, we're not accustomed to the Cowboys ever having a defense. We normally, so we scored 41 points. Normally, we would lose a game like that, 42, 41, or 45, 40, whatever it is. We're losing those games.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my fellow Cowboy fans out there, celebration time, because we might now finally have a defense. And if you're a hater like Eric was, watch out, because Cowboys might be for real. And that's going to be the scariest thing for you guys, because Cowboys haven't won anything since the 90s. And if you already hate us now, that hate's going to only grow.
All right, so since we're here, all right, so I didn't mention it last week. So I actually grew up a Cowboys fan.
Mm-hmm.
Our father, big Cowboys fan growing up. There was the Emmitt Smith, Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin days. Man, it was beautiful. It was some of the best, you know, that was probably the golden age of NFL right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then not only that, I grew up, like, Michael Irvin still to this day is my favorite NFL player of all time. Mike Evans, close second, but Michael Irvin, you know, was my favorite player. But I got to explain why I came to the Bucs. So after, you know, Cowboys had that run, it was amazing. But after a while, you know, the Quincy Jones days,
Quincy Carter?
Quincy Carter days, you know, we were just 5-11 for like 5 years straight.
Yeah.
Not only that, these Cowboys fans came out of the woodworks, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And which, to Eric's defense, Cowboys fans, and to, as you mentioned earlier, some of them are just super unreasonable.
Yeah.
So I wanted to leave. It to me it was like I needed to get out of Babylon the Great. You know what I'm saying? And so at the time, I'm looking at other teams. And of course, I couldn't pick the Niners because growing up, that was around the time the Niners were the Cowboys' biggest rival.
Mm-hmm.
My dad would have disowned me. But another team that was doing really good at the time was the Tony Dungy Buccaneers. You know, they were competitive in every game, in every playoffs, and they'd be there but they wouldn't win. So I remember in year 2000, I made that switch. And then 2 years later, after getting Gruden, we did it. Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks, that defense was amazing. To me, one of the best defenses of all time. Won the Super Bowl and really solidified my decision. And since then, yeah, it's been tough. But again, up until last year when we got the GOAT, Brady, did it again. So since I've left, and at the time of leaving Buccaneers, I went from the Cowboys, we're the highest winning percentage NFL franchise, to Buccaneers, the lowest. And since then, I've had 2 Super Bowls under my belt in Dallas, which, you know, I love you guys, and Michael Irvin's still my boy, but man, I'm sure it's been tough.
So I do gotta ask you though.
Sure.
So your theory behind why you left the Cowboys, but you're a Laker fan. Lakers are the Cowboys of the NBA.
No. So I've noticed NBA fans are somewhat more. How can I?
Well, we don't live in LA, but
no, I know. So they're Lakers, or as far as NBA, those fans in the NBA are much more player oriented. And then I came in as a Kobe fan, and he never left the Lakers, and so I've been with the Lakers. And you got guys like LeBron fans. Those are he probably has more fans than the Lakers right now. And wherever he goes, they'll go with him. So it doesn't matter to me. I'm always going to be a Laker fan, especially as Kobe. Kobe's my favorite NBA player of all time, but Jordan is the GOAT. I know some people won't like that, but I'm sorry. Let's get back to the game. So yeah, Dallas defeat the Eagles 41-21. This game was over by half.
Yeah.
So the early game, Zeke rushing touchdown, but then shortly after, Dak fumbles and they score a touchdown off of it. You remember that one?
And I watched it. I was like, oh, here we go.
Yep.
This is the Dak. This is the Dak that showed up tonight.
Black trash got.
Yep.
That's why I was like, oh, I'm going to hear it. But then they were able to, it was even over before half. By halftime, you knew it was over. It was 20-7, but it felt 40-7. So Dak went 21 for 26, 238 yards, 3 touchdowns, had that fumble. Zeke, 17 carries for 95 yards, 2 touchdowns. Tony Pollard had 11 carries for 60 yards. Dak had 9 carries, but he wasn't able to do much with it. Had 6 yards. Even Corey Clement had some burn. He had 3 carries, but he didn't gain any yards either.
Yeah.
And one of those trick wide receiver runs, CeeDee Lamb had a negative yard.
Horrible play call, by the way, too.
Yeah.
Should have gave Zeke the ball right there.
Interestingly, Dalton Schultz had the most targets this game. He had 7 targets. He caught 6 for 80 and 2 touchdowns. And CeeDee Lamb, he only had 3 targets, caught all 3 for 66. So the yardage total was good for CeeDee. But man, compared to last week, he had a lot more looks last week. And another guy I'm gonna ask, if you're a fantasy owner, are you scared? Are you nervous? Is Amari Cooper, 4 targets and he caught 3 for 26. Are you afraid of Cooper?
Yes, and here's why. Because I forgot which team we were talking about a while ago, but Cowboys are actually winning games.
Yeah.
Normally, Dak Prescott is fantasy gold because he's going to his receivers a lot.
Yeah.
There's a change now. He got paid, and they're actually trying to win instead of just trying to get paid. So, for example, Schultz led the way receiving this time. It's just Dak showing all his weapons that he has to play with. So, Cooper, I don't know. I don't know when he'll have another big game because he might not need to.
Yeah.
Because there's just too many weapons.
Yeah, and mentioning Zeke, he also had 3 targets for 21. So Zeke's looking good. Tony Pollard only had 1 target for 5 yards. And you said last week you picked him up.
I did.
But now with this kind of game, are you confident in continuing to play him?
Not confident. When he did get, 11 carries for 60 yards. Had he had like 10 more, he'd go over 100 easily. But yeah, I don't know about Pollard. I might have to let him go.
Yeah. All right, now let's look at the defense, which did a really good job against Hurts. Anthony Brown had a pick, and Trayvon Diggs another pick, and it was a pick 6, along with 3 pass deflects. Yeah, stop throwing to Trayvon Diggs' way, Hurts.
And that's funny because I said that during the game.
Yeah,
I was like, why do they keep testing Trayvon Diggs?
yeah. Don't. Hopefully, you learn from this. And as a defense, they got 2 sacks. Micah Parsons had half a sack.
Okay, so yeah, Micah Parsons is the front runner for Rookie of the Year. Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Entirely.
I think defensive.
Okay.
The NFL, they always will want to give it to the offensive player.
Yeah.
But yeah, Micah Parsons. And you mentioned Asante Samuel.
Junior.
But I think Micah Parsons, just the stuff he's doing, if you just watch him, he's affecting the game in so many ways.
Yeah.
He was able to get a few penalties called on the offense for holding him.
Wow.
He's just way too fast.
Yeah,
so he's disruptive back there.
Yeah, and then the other guy who had 1.5 sacks was Odigi Zua.
Yeah, and he's another rookie.
Yeah,
He's doing pretty good.
So Dallas, hey, this might be a turning. You guys look really good this year. So your only loss now is to the Buccaneers at week 1, and even that was a close game.
Yeah.
All right, and Greg the Leg didn't have any field goal attempts, but he went 5 for 6 extra points. So I think that gives him about 4 points.
And he missed the extra point. So
no, yeah, so 5 of 6.
Greg the Leg, man.
Again, you guys whooped him. You didn't need it.
Yeah.
But let's look at the Eagles side of the ball now. So Jalen Hurts went 25 for 39 for 326 yards, 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. He also had 9 carries for 35 yards. But if you watch the game, it didn't look that good. Of course, a lot of this is garbage time stuff. Yeah, Dallas defense definitely did a good job, stopping them. Miles Sanders, this is funny. He had 2 carries for 27 yards. That's 13.5 yards per carry. They only rushed Miles Sanders twice. Outside of him, Kenneth Gainwell rushed once for 2 yards, but Miles Sanders.
And I think Miles Sanders' first rush attempt was like in the 3rd quarter, if I'm mistaken.
That is just crazy.
That is insane. What are they doing?
Yeah, what are you doing? What are you doing, Philly? I remember watching the Philly coach, one of the coaches, but he has like pins next to his ear on his visor.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, that is not a cool style.
Oh my
okay,
goodness.
now I know if I'm ever in the position to do that, never do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as you mentioned, Zach Ertz did play this game, but Dallas Goedert still went 2 for 66. But Ertz did play. He caught 4 for 53 and a touchdown. He had 7 targets. So again, both tight ends were used, but again, you don't know which guy's going to get the yardage. They both probably will. Jalen Reagor had 8 targets, caught 5 for 53 yards. Quez Watkins, we mentioned him last week, only had 2 targets, caught both for 46. Man. Miles Sanders had 4 targets, caught 3 for 28. And Devontae Smith, we mentioned last week, led the team. Now he's 3rd on the team in targets this week with 6 targets. He only caught 3 for 28. And the second touchdown went to Greg Ward, and he caught that single catch for 15 yards.
Yeah, I feel bad for you guys that aren't Cowboy fans that you had to sit there and watch this game. It was almost like
don't worry about me. I tapped out.
It was almost like Cowboys just rubbing it in all your guys' faces. All of you that tuned in, it was just like them just being like, yeah, look, we're for real. We're doing it. So Cowboy fans, we love watching the game. We know how much the Eagles fans hate us and all the documentaries that they've made about us. So,
yeah. And as a defense, these Philly they got 4 sacks. Hargrave had 2, and I think he also had the touchdown. One of them had a touchdown. And then TJ Edwards had a sack, and then Avonte Maddox and Josh Sweat split a sack. So, again, their kicker, 0 attempts, but he made all 3 extra points, Jake Elliott. So, we had some good games this week. We had some, not so good. We had some amazing plays like the Justin Tucker kick, also the that kick return for Agnew.
So one thing I want to do going forward,
Green Bay
game of the week
drive.
This week. Who would you say?
This week 3?
Yeah, week 3. What was the game of the week for you?
Oh, it had to be the Niners one.
Okay, I'm in agreement. That game
was
the game of the week.
Crazy.
That was the most exciting one.
Yeah.
So going forward each week, we'll say game of the week.
Sure. And before I forget to mention, and we already did mention, but we'll mention again, Cowboys play the Panthers this week, and the Eagles will play the Chiefs. So
tough.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this week. It was great to have Eric call in, our residential Niner fan.
Yep. Shout out to E-Rock.
Shout out to E-Rock. And go Bucks.
Go Cowboys.
And we'll see you guys next week. Let's go! Yay!